My name is Cody Laurendi, former professional goalkeeper, current sports agent, and this is the Mas Futbol Podcast.
Let's do it in the afternoon or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
Champions Code.
Champions Code. Nice.
Yeah.
What made you want to start a podcast?
A lot of really interesting people that, soccer is the vehicle, but there's, the person behind the footballer, if you will. People that, for instance, my most recent episode was with a guy who played in the MLS, played in the NASL, played in the USL.
Wow.
But now he does commercial real estate, and he's crushing it. He's over in Charlotte. His name is Wes Knight. And it kind of gives, you talk a little bit about the football side, but it's more of, playing for very little amount of money, having to do other things, having to have other interests, and having to have kind of this plan or this goal in place that after football is over, like, what are you going to do next, right? Because financially, you can't retire off of these salaries. And frankly, retirement's kind of boring anyway. So what what else are you going to do in life? You got you're going to be a person much longer than you're going to be a footballer.
How do you fill that gap
Exactly.
that football has left?
Exactly. And I think it's important because, and we could hit on this in this episode, is this next generation, man, they feel like I think they think it's easier to play professionally. It's fucking not.
If anything, it just got a lot harder with all the exposure.
Correct. And then two, like, even if you do turn pro, like my goal is to turn pro. Okay. But
define that.
what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that like? And know that this is a front-loaded career path where you're not a doctor or a lawyer who's getting started at 30. You're winding down at that age. So what else are you interested in? You got 70 years, knock on wood, if you're lucky, of life left in you. What are you gonna do?
It reminds me a lot of whenever your parents are just like, you better do good in school because soccer's not going to be there for the rest of your life. But at that age, you don't see past tomorrow.
Right. And I'm not saying, I'm not faulting them by any means, but it is important to have a general idea. You don't have to have it all. It's like when you go to college, right? I was like, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I'm 17 years old. I don't know.
No idea.
Right. I'm not saying you have to know, without a shadow of a doubt that this is what I'm going to do with the rest of my life, but have a general idea have other interests. Because frankly, having other interests help your football. Yeah. They help that. And and what I mean by that is if you have a bad day of training,
how do you distract yourself?
Correct.
Like, how do you take your mind off?
It can't just be football, right? Because you're going to go as football goes, and football goes like this.
Yeah.
And if you're going to live like that, you're not going to have a long career whatsoever.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's, I try to give the platform and then just get out of the way. I want to hear people. I want to listen.
That's exactly how I go about it too.
That's how I think that's the best way to go about it. I can empathize, or I can identify with a lot of their shared experiences.
You learn a little bit from everyone.
Correct.
And pick stuff up.
But this perception versus reality of playing professional soccer, especially in the United States, where it's getting there, but it's not there yet financially, right? Of like the NBA players, the NFL players, so on and so forth. You gotta have other interests.
I feel like for soccer, it's just so the system is a lot bigger than it is for basketball. Right. Maybe not for MLB. There's a lot of secondary teams.
Right.
Well, we're getting there. Let's jump in.
Perfect.
Because this is getting juicy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm just gonna. You got experience. We'll go. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yo, welcome back to the Mas Futbol Podcast, the #1 soccer podcast in South Oklahoma City. I'm your host, Ricardo Ulloa, and no co-host today. Like I said, I forgot to hit him up today. Everything's been going crazy. But we're going to fly this ship not solo because I have a guest today. But before the guest, I do want to say thank you to our sponsors, Legacy Real Estate Group, for allowing us to use your location. I definitely 1000% recommend you guys to go to them for any of your real estate needs, whether you're looking for a reinvestment, trying to turn that equity that you have in your house into some cash, and trying to get yourself into a better situation. Whatever you need, they'll be able to put you in the right direction. My Aunt Rosie, my Aunt Vero, they're great, and I recommend them 1000%. So Legacy Real Estate Group, thank you. But for today, I always do that. Sorry. I have a special guest today. He's an ex-professional soccer player. He's a sports agent. And hell, one time he was named top 3 goalies in the CONCACAF, which is huge. Probably behind maybe Keylor Navas and Memo Ochoa. Just to name some random goalies out there. Our guy, Cody Laurendi. What's up, my friend?
Ricardo, thank you for having me on, man.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Appreciate you for having you on today, man.
Oh man, I'm really, really excited. And like I said, thank you for adjusting your schedule to fit mine. It doesn't go unnoticed.
I appreciate it. Well, last week was kind of rough. We would have recorded last week, but COVID finally got to me after 2 or 3 years. So I actually think I had it a little bit before, like in December, like before they had announced it. But this one was definitely a lot easier.
You doing okay now, though?
We're doing good, thankfully. My kids are doing great. They didn't. I think
Wonderful.
The parents went through a lot worse than the kids did, so that was good.
Of course.
Good. But I'm happy I was able to run into you a few weeks ago at Palpastock.
Palpastock, yes. Wonderful event, huh?
What an event.
Incredible.
Oh my gosh. That was the first time I've ever been there, but I was left it's pretty speechless.
Yeah, that was an event for my wife came away from that and she said it kind of reminded her of like a Coachella or some sort of
honestly
outdoor concert venue event.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was what a wonderful, first and foremost, Liz and Tim McLaughlin, wonderful
awesome people, honestly.
right? Great people. They put on a heck of an event, and it was wonderful to see some familiar faces.
Did you try the donuts?
Oh my God, yeah.
Dude, those donuts
They're
are good.
Incredible.
I went for 6 and I had to go back for a dozen.
That was on the way out. We're like, yeah, let me get one of those and let's try half a dozen of those. And yeah, it was excellent, man. It was excellent.
Tell me, for the people that don't know, you introduce yourself. Tell me what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Cody Laurendi, former professional soccer player, current sports agent.
Nice.
In the football soccer realm, both on the men's and the women's side. Originally from Melbourne, Florida.
Okay.
Moved to Oklahoma City to play for the Energy 6 years ago. And finished up my career last year. Moved straight into player representation, intermediary work.
Nice.
Keeps me around the game. It keeps me kind of watching more football now than I did as a player. And most importantly, I'm able to work for people that are willing to take an entrepreneurial risk on themselves. And I love that about people. I love that about the fact that you are maybe not going to go the way of your peers, right? And go into the quote unquote 9-to-5 job, but you have an athletic talent and an ability that you've worked at and you've honed your craft over years. And my whole role in helping them is to be the bridge.
Nice.
To be the bridge to whether it be a trial or whether it be, negotiating a contract or
advice.
Yeah, through experience.
Yeah, because you've been there. So this is
exactly.
You probably met a lot of. Did you meet a lot of sports agents that weren't professional players?
So yes, a few. And actually, mine was a mother of one of my teammates.
Okay.
You don't need to necessarily have been a player. And same thing as a coach, right? You don't necessarily have had that experience as a professional.
That definitely helps.
But it helps. It helps immensely because it's not information that you're reading out of a book, right? It's real life experience-based knowledge. And no amount of
reading a book
qualifications
will be able to give you that ability to empathize with a player in those type of situations.
Correct.
Because you've been there.
Exactly. And so I definitely utilize that, but at the same time, it's people, right? It's not a law profession. Everybody thinks it's a law profession. If a contract is, I'd say, dense enough to where you have to enlist the services of a
you can get a lawyer.
You can get a lawyer.
Yeah.
But so this is people. This is sales, and this is trust above all, right? And it's something that I feel is a natural extension of me, and nobody can compete with that, right? And that's with everybody. Whatever you're good at, I feel like I'm good at bringing people in. I love to promote people. They're never my player, and that's terminology that's used quite often with agents. Oh, my player this and my player. No.
Can you imagine having an agent like that was like, you're mine?
Oh my God, no. You're looking at people like they're a commodity, right? No. It's the player. It may be my client, right? But not my. not my player. My player did this. No, get out of here. That's ego.
You're his agent.
Yeah, I work for the player, right? And I'm immensely proud of this person because of this achievement or this achievement, or, you know, they've worked really hard to achieve this. I just want to be, one, their biggest supporter, and two, an extension of the professional experience, and provide my experience-based knowledge to them to help kind of further their career.
Dang, so you're an agent plus.
Like I mean, there's, I don't know. I'm preface it with, I don't know everything.
Yeah.
You know, I'm learning every single day. I'm never going to get
That's
this.
good that you say that.
Right? I'm not the finished product. I never will be. Open to learn, open to listen and to understand. But I have found that there are agents that will just say, Ricardo, I'll do a deal for you, and don't call me, I'll call you. You know what I mean? And I'm not interested in that.
What kind of confidence does that give me in you? How am I going to feel comfortable asking you a question?
Right.
If this is where we're starting at?
Exactly. So I explained to the player straight away, listen, the terminology I just used, I want to be an extension of the professional experience.
I like how you said entrepreneurial
risk
that you're taking. Because
exactly.
You could have said professional career, but why did you say entrepreneurial path for these players that are trying to go pro? Why is it an entrepreneurial path, not worded
because
differently?
I'd say I use the word entrepreneurial because you actually, from an economic standpoint here in the U.S., which is where a lot of my business is.
For now,
yeah. The financial side of things force you to kind of think outside the box, right? You could be a pro and you could play, but you're only talking a couple $1,000s a month if you are on the higher end, right? So your mindset has to shift to, how can I make myself as valuable to a franchise as possible, right? How can my presence, my personality, who I am as a person, correlate to fan support, correlate to making it harder for a team to let go of me or send me on my way, right? Because, you know, who I am as a person, the time that I put into the community translates to butts in the seats.
Yeah.
Right? And that's an entrepreneurial way of thinking of, okay, yes, you're a footballer, but don't just box yourself into that level of thinking of, oh, I can't be asked to get up off my butt in the afternoons to go coach, or to go be in the community, or to...
I'm picking up what you're putting. To be the brand. You're not only a professional. Let me help you. Let me add another facet to your game, Ricardo. Think of yourself more as a brand.
Yes.
There's that player that used to play for Tulsa. Who has a really great YouTube following.
Oh, Matt. Yeah.
Matt.
That's a perfect example.
Think of Matt and how he has become legendary brand, has taken him to play overseas.
Correct.
And it is definitely helping him from when he went to Tulsa. And now he's a captain. I don't know where he's playing at right now. At Charleston's. Yeah. And I can definitely attest to that being a part of his brand and how Become Elite has been able to put seats in those butts in those seats.
Yeah, and I think, and I don't know, but I'm almost certain he could leverage that for more money when it comes to negotiating a contract.
Definitely.
Because you now have a player who has, let's say he has, I don't know the numbers exactly, let's say he has 100,000 followers on social media.
YouTube or whatever.
That's 100,000 sets of eyeballs that are now going to be tuning in, not necessarily to the game, right? But they know now who Charleston Battery is.
I knew when he came to play against Energy.
That's what I'm saying. And that's where we're getting into this age of, I'm hesitant to use the word brand, but it's a personal brand. True. It is true. Where players like, I don't know, like a Pogba, right?
I don't know why you were going to say that. I said this.
Pogba's the same. Like he's
that's the person that came to mind.
Unbelievably talented. Don't get me wrong. The football is the main thing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But he's found a way to have commercial success, right?
Fashion.
I don't know if you've listened to or if you've watched the Amazon documentary on him.
I haven't. I've heard mixed reviews about it, but
I thought the takeaway for me was like, between him and his wife, I think they speak about 4 or 5 different languages.
Yes, because he's not native to France, but he's also from somewhere else.
Correct. And she's, I want to say she's from somewhere in Central America, Central or South America, I can't remember. But English, Spanish, French, Italian, just. So to me, I'm thinking to myself, wow.
Look at all those markets he can reach.
Right?
Touch.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's a shortcoming of myself, like learning another language and needing to be able to communicate. But seeing footballers, right, I think basketball is kind of like the closest other sport from a worldwide reach. But having those individuals that, like a Ronaldo's post on Instagram gets more
400 million followers.
More likes and more attention than a Manchester United post, right? Or when Manchester United brought him back and they did the post on the social media that had like the most likes in history, right? So these brands of these Manchester Uniteds, these Arsenals, these Juventus, all these big time brands that have always said, well, yeah, you can come to our club because we have the big name. Now it's kind of shifting a little bit to where we need the big time player with the big time following. Yes, he has to be extremely talented and take care of business on the field, but from a commercial standpoint,
like when Ronaldo signed to Juventus paid a big fee, but what did they not make up the first or second day with just jersey sales, and then you get extra sponsorships, and then like look at these preseason tours, right? It's no coincidence that they go to the big Asian markets or they come to the U.S. where 100,000 people are going to come and they're going to watch them play, and it's the business side of things, and the business side of things to me is fascinating. Yeah, because I don't want to worry about that as a player, right?
Correct.
That's just talking about it now. We haven't even talked about your soccer career and whatnot. We're just going into, I guess, what would some say be what ruins the game. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's definitely just multifaceted as a sports agent.
And I would say this, those guys that are, and females that are at the top of their game, right? They focused on their playing first.
Yeah, we don't want you to worry about anything else.
Yeah.
Have fun.
And that's the thing. Keep the main thing, right? Let us take care of all the other stuff.
Wow. Well, before I get into your career, knowing what you know now, how would you have done things differently?
Oh, I would have started a YouTube channel 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And because to provide the reality versus a perception of being a professional is, in my opinion, it's skewed. Yeah. Because what do you say? It's culturally, and you go back to the social media, everything is a highlight, right? But what young people fail to understand is, okay, you did it, say on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
This is how I equate it. 1 being the worst player ever, 10 being the best, right? Anybody can go in for a day or two on a trial and be the 10 out of 10, right? Or just, exceptional, right? Do that 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
And then, you know what? Do it again. And do it another year. And another year. And keep going.
You sound like you want to make me a robot.
and then deal with being away from loved ones. Deal with uncertainty about contracts.
Are you going to get one
right?
next year or not?
Dealing with form, right? All of these things that go into
mental
it.
Health.
Exactly. And that's where everybody has talent, right? Everybody has talent. But it's this word, consistency. Consistency is what will provide you a long-term career. And consistency is the most rare attribute in humans because it's the hardest.
But it's the one that gets you where you need to go.
Exactly.
Because I heard the saying, and for some reason I've heard it 3 or 4 times. I think God's trying to send me a message. Is if you lose motivation, stay consistent.
Yes.
Because staying consistent will bring back your motivation.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, because you're never going to have this upwards ascension into success, and everything is going to be, you're going to be kind of skiing downhill, as they say, right? You're going to have ups and you're going to have downs, and the peaks and the valleys, right? The peaks wouldn't feel as good without the valleys.
Yeah, honestly.
Right, and that's the honest truth.
You need the yin and the yang.
Correct. And again, maybe it's just the day and age that we live in, but everybody sees this not for what it actually is, but what they think it is. And there's a difference. So my job in this is to respectfully be as honest as I possibly can. Are you sure that this is what you want?
Okay, how do you say that?
It's
considering that different people take different things differently. You really have to know your player and how to motivate him.
Yes.
Keep his feet on the ground.
Exactly.
This camera turns off at 30 minutes, so when you see me move over, we'll just keep going.
Perfect. Yeah, it's being honest with people. And again, like you said, a lot of people take the honesty as, oh, well, you're a hater. No, I'm not a hater. I'm speaking from experience. But again, I know I'm only one person's opinion. But let me be as honest as I possibly can about what you want or what you think you want, and then what the reality is of what you want. And generally speaking, those are very different. They want the big boot deal. They want all the commercial success that comes along with it. They want to kind of put in some of the work, but you know what? If it gets a little tough, I'm going to back up a little bit. Nah, you can't have that, man.
Do you ever drop clients?
There's been some instances where there's other agents that will say, they'll promise the world. And they'll say, Ricardo, I'm going to bring you to Real Madrid.
Yo, Cody, this guy's going to take me to Real Madrid. Like, he says he can get me an Adidas brand.
So, you know what I say? I say, look, if that's what you feel you need, if that's what you feel, if you feel that this person can open up a door that I can't, go.
By all means.
Go. And it's happened twice, and both those players have come back around, and they've said, look, I'm sorry. You know, and it's okay. I don't take things. It
would put you in a worse position to not let them go or to badmouth somebody else. If you want to see if it's greener on the other side, by all means.
Exactly.
And it's good that you approach it that way because they came back. So that says, what does that say about you?
Well, like I had mentioned earlier, and again, this is not. I have confidence in myself, right? And I feel like the job, what I do for people is an extension of me. Nobody can compete with me. Right? There's other great agencies out there. There's other great agents, but I feel my advantage is not just that I've lived it, I've been in their shoes, but I care the most. I care the most. I'm here for you. I'm here to be of service. You're not my player, right? I work for you. And that is something that I think is very, very important for people to feel appreciated, to feel valued, to feel like they've made the right decision in having somebody who is an extension of their professional career. So,
dude, that's a lot to unpack. And I want to get to that box here in a second. Yeah. But before you became an agent, you were a soccer player first. Yes. And I would love to hear how and where soccer started for you. Yeah. So can you tell me where you started to learn to love the game?
Of course. Well, started probably much like everybody at like 4 or 5 years of age, right? Always a field player. Okay. You know, I was a late, I adopted goalkeeping late.
How late?
High school.
Really?
High school, yeah. So, you know, played youth. I played other sports too. Played basketball, baseball.
Yeah, because you're a tall guy.
American football. Played all the sports.
Can you dunk?
I get rim rejected.
You used to be able to dunk. Okay.
Yeah, my knees can't handle it anymore. So played all the other sports growing up. Soccer was the first love. Soccer was the first love. And like I mentioned, I was late adapted to goalkeeping. And the only reason I went in goal was because I didn't think I was going to make the high school team as a field player. Yeah. So went in goal and
freshman, sophomore?
Freshman.
Okay.
Yeah, and then was called up to varsity, and I played goalie a little bit growing up, you know, but nothing serious. I enjoyed obviously playing on the field. High school came around, tried out for goalkeeper, made it, and you know, at the same time you're playing club soccer and.
You were also doing club in high school, or when did you start doing club as well?
Always growing up playing club.
Okay, always.
But as a field player, you know, as a field player. And then as I got a little bit older, started taking goalkeeping more serious. Obviously, like I said, high school came around. You know, was able to make the JV team that year, and then towards the end of the season, got called up to varsity, and it was like the best thing ever. I was like on cloud nine. I was, you know, freshman on varsity, got to play. It was really, really cool. And that kind of really sparked my interest in it. Yeah. So then what I would do is I would play American football, and I would play American football as a tight end, punter and the kicker.
Oh, damn.
Tight end was, there was a lot of correlation between playing as a tight end and as a goalkeeper, right? Body control, hand-eye coordination. You know, catching through traffic, you know, all those things.
So being a goal leader in a corner kick was a breeze for you, probably.
Yeah, exactly. So I found a lot of similarities, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. There was a good amount of time where I thought I was going to go to college to play American football as a punter. Would go to all the combines, nationally ranked, all this stuff. But they wanted me to walk on. And there was a junior college. There was a junior college in the middle of nowhere in South Georgia. And they offered me a small scholarship. And I was like, you know what?
To play soccer? To
play soccer.
Okay.
To play soccer. And I was like, yep, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to play soccer.
Before that, though, and this is funny because I had read this about you because I was doing some research. I'm going to pull this up real quick about your All-State experience because you made the All-State team. And if I'm reading this correctly, it says, and can we, who runs this wiki page? I guess it's open to everybody, but we got to get this picture changed.
Oh, man. I know. We're gonna
I've
get some
seen so many great pictures of you.
I don't know. Maybe my dad. Maybe my mom or my dad might be. Yeah, that's
Where is this?
That is in Vancouver, and that is when I played for the Puerto Rico Islanders back in roughly 2010.
2010.
Yeah,
Nice.
2010. Yeah, that was Swangard Stadium, not the stadium that they play in now. Wonderful grass pitch, track field in Vancouver.
If you had to give this guy advice, what would you have said to him right there?
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
keep doing what you're doing. I was fortunate enough in that moment, and that was right after coming back from Belgium. I had a wonderful teammate and roommate who shared the same values I did, and we could talk about that too, the importance of that. We had a wonderful mix of youth and experience, and we were living in the Caribbean, right? So what complaints could we ever have?
Right.
If we had any, nobody would listen anyway. So yeah, tough life.
All right, you're at the beach, man. Look how beautiful it is.
Exactly.
You're depressed? Like, what's going on with you, man?
Exactly. No, but that's the advice I would give, is just keep going. You're on the right path.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Well, it says here for your Laurendi attended, how do you say that? High School?
O'Galley High School.
O'Galley High School. It says you were a kicker, and you were named the MVP of the Brevard County All-Star Game when you came on the field and scored 4 goals. How do you score 4 goals if you were a goalie?
I played on the field.
Oh, you played on the field, but you were also the goalie for the high school.
I did
as well.
both, yeah.
So your senior year, you were just...
It was like splitting halves. There was another goalkeeper who was good as well.
Decent.
And what we would do, we just split the halves.
There's just Jorge Campos.
Hey,
the
Jorge
goalie
Campos.
and up in the field scoring goals, huh?
Remember him? Oh,
yeah, dude. Legendary.
What a legend.
Legendary.
What a legend.
Yeah, and then it says here you went to go play, and this is where we're at now, in South Georgia College.
Yes.
Where you were his first year there, he was named the Georgia Junior College All-Tournament Team. Cody then attended Hildenberg Academic...
Heidelberg, yeah, I got you.
Hassa in Belgium.
Yes.
Wow, insane. Let's go to Georgia.
Okay.
How was that?
It was first real experience away from home, so I think it was good. It was only like 5-6 hours away from
Florida, Georgia.
Yeah,
not too far.
not too far.
But you're next door.
But
it's still away.
Yeah, but I'm far enough away where I feel like I have some sense of independence. Yeah,
It gave you some room to grow.
and it was not a good time in my life.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you. I was like the soccer season was great. Don't get me wrong. Not a lot going on, right? So you get out of class. Started getting some bad habits, started drinking a lot, right? Not eating the greatest food, not hanging around the best people.
That compounds.
Exactly. To the point where I was extremely overweight. I was in a position that the team that I played for was, they hadn't sent anybody to the next level, right? So I was like, well, all right, am I going to be the first? Or do I need to seriously look elsewhere to achieve what I want to achieve out of life professionally? And
at this point, your goal was to go pro?
yes,
Okay.
but I didn't know what that meant. I was just like, yeah, it sounds good. That's what I want to do. But I don't know any of the necessary work that's required, you know. So long story short, at the end of that year, it's like, that's one and done. I can't do this anymore. So I go home, and Ricardo, when I tell you I was overweight, I was about 50 pounds overweight.
Damn. But that's so easy to happen because trust me, I'm battling that right now.
But it's habits, right? And you try to adjust your habits, make them healthier, and maybe not drink as much beer, maybe eat some better food, maybe time when you're eating your food maybe a little bit better, and
don't eat at midnight.
Yeah,
Stop
exactly.
eating that cupcake at 3.
Correct. So came back home to Florida, back home to Melbourne, Florida, and was working a job at an architectural firm. And it wasn't, I'm not gonna
Sugarcoat it. It wasn't a blast, was it?
It was, go do this. We have a shipment of paper that's in, and the rolls of paper are like,
Jesus.
they're for blueprints, right? So they're massive. Huge. They're probably like 100-pound, rolls. We got 50 of them outside. We need you, and this is summer in Florida where, we're going through right now weather-wise.
Humid heat.
Yeah, exactly. Go do this, or hey, we need 50 copies by 8 a.m. tomorrow, and it's like 4:50 in the afternoon, right? So it's one of those things where it was one of the best experiences. Going through it sucked.
It's one of those experiences where if you don't know what you want to do in life, go wash some dishes, and you're gonna find out real quick.
That's exactly
what you want to do.
Exactly what this was for me. And hindsight being 2020, you're like, wow, this is really good for me. But I got to a point where, the other thing was I had a coworker that thought he was my boss. I know. Yeah. And he was a lot older, and I think he was just trying to...
He was trying to teach you the way, but I mean, you don't have to be a dick about it.
Correct.
And I'm not your personal person to push around. You also have to do some work too.
Exactly.
I had a few of those too.
Yeah, it's hard, and I try to be as professional as possible, but
professional understanding. But it gets to a point where even somebody else is just like, "Yo, man, don't let him tell you that."
Correct. And I just had enough. I had enough, and I had the as they say, the come to Jesus moment where it's like my life's trajectory. I'm not on the trajectory that I know I can achieve in this life, and doing this is not getting me any closer to it. So I'm just said, hey, respectfully, I'm going to be moving on, and really kind of dove into those positive habits, right? Waking up a little bit earlier, getting the gym regularly, getting as much training as often as I possibly could. And then, slowly but surely the weight starts falling off a little bit. You 2 pounds there, 3 pounds there. You're like, wow, okay, I'm starting to feel better. Starting to move better.
Okay,
Right, exactly.
Starting to feel familiar.
Yes. So get back to my normal weight. I'm a big person anyway, right? It doesn't take much. I can look at pasta and gain 2 pounds, right? All right.
I hear you.
It's
good
genetics, I know. But through that, I'd say sharpening of your mind, if you will.
Mental blade that you had going on.
Yes, exactly. Kind of allowed me to utilize a contact that I had growing up who was connected with a couple teams in Europe. And I'd say about 6 months later, I was on a plane to Belgium.
6 months later from pushing paper to Belgium?
Yeah.
So this period of your life sounds very much like the burn your boat moment.
Yeah. That's exactly it. It was like, listen, getting back to it, I'm not interested in being a doctor or a lawyer, so if it's going to happen,
it needs to happen now.
And
for people that don't understand that analogy, when these people would go to war, they would burn their boats on their way there so that
No plan B,
extra motivation.
Correct.
Like there's no going back. You have to win. How were you not scared to go to Belgium? You just tell your parents like, hey, it didn't work in Georgia. I'm just going to go 20 times further.
Yeah. I think I was just so naive. But
it's just a superpower at that age.
But I think it was a good thing. But I'll be honest with you, when I got there, and I was there with other players from North America, right? So we were able at least to communicate. Nobody that I knew, but
you're sharing the same struggle. So
and we're all there for the same reason. We're all there, and that helps massively when you're in the environment of like-minded individuals. That's a superpower, right?
Because iron sharpens iron.
Correct. And your mind is malleable. You, as a human being, are malleable, right?
Human body is malleable. People underplay how amazing our bodies are.
Correct. So, going over there. But I'll be honest with you. I landed. It was the first time I've ever taken public transportation. I took a train from Brussels to Liège, Belgium, where I lived, and I finally got there. And I sat on the bed. And I broke down. I was crying. I was like, "What am I doing?" Like it all kind of hit you at once, and I'll never forget that. It was like such an experience of like, wait a minute, I'm like thousands of miles away from home. I'm here to play soccer. Like I love soccer.
How old were you?
I was 18.
2010, 18.
Yeah, I was 18. And that was 2008.
2008.
2008. Yeah.
Damn.
So it was there and had a little moment where I was like, maybe it was a moment of uncertainty or what have you. But then it was like, all right, I'm here. I'm in the environment. Let's make the best of it, right? And for the next 2 years, the structure of either we were going to school, right, either in the mornings or the evenings, at an accredited U.S. university that had a campus in that teachers would actually come to us.
Okay. So
we were going to school at the academy, and then we were training and playing in the evenings.
So it's kind of like you're going to college.
That's exactly
have this going on.
That's exactly it. And the best thing about it was one, you're playing, you're, like I said, you're there with like-minded individuals, but two, you're playing against grown men, right? And you kind of figure out if you like the idea of being a professional or actually want to be a professional. And you're dealing with, bad weather. It's, Belgium's not known for its sunny skies, I'll say that much. 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's almost dark. You're like, oh man, this is depressing. But I wouldn't have had it any other way. This is exactly what I wanted to do. Yeah. And
you were a professional there.
Yes. Yeah. And we would get like, everything was under the table from a payment standpoint, right? If you started, if you won, if you had a clean sheet as a goalkeeper, you get a couple, €100, if you will, right? But it wasn't anything like...
anything that you can really, really live off of.
Right, but I was also 18.
Yeah. What do you need for it?
Exactly. So, yeah, it was a very pivotal point in my life because it was... and you were around people that thought they liked the idea, or they liked the idea of being a pro, but weren't willing to put in the necessary work to be a pro. Day in, day out, day in, day out. So
it's a constant grind, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's never this, again, upwards trajectory of success. It's a lot of setbacks. I mean, it's snowing outside, and I'll see you at training in an hour. Gotta go there. It's freezing, And then on top of that, I'm missing birthdays, I'm missing holidays, I'm missing family. I'm seeing my friends. Social media wasn't that big at that time, but Facebook had just come out not too, long ago.
Friends getting married, having kids, maybe.
College experience, right? Yeah. We're all going out on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, local bar, whatever.
And what are you doing? Sitting in bed because it's late, because it's dark past 4.
Exactly. And I'm thinking, and then I'm like, well, wait, am I missing out? And then a week later, we drive to Paris to go see PSG play Braga in a Europa League match.
And this is why I'm here.
And then after that match, we're standing underneath the Eiffel Tower, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm not missing anything. Nothing. I am gaining. Wow. That's good. I am gaining in life experience and exposure, in understanding of others, right? Something that a traditional U.S. university experience.
Some people don't leave their zip code.
Where I'm from in Florida. Your whole life experience is made up of 30-mile radius.
That's terrible.
And that is a terrible way to go through life. That is a terrible monoculture way of looking at life. No, life, especially in, if you're in whatever environment, it cannot be this same, frequency, as they say, right? You gotta have, you gotta have other people, right? Yes. Other cultures, other way of viewing the world, other way of experiencing and having life experience, right? And that's what makes people interesting. But this concept of, born in my hometown, I'm going to die in my hometown, and get out of here, man.
Yeah,
that's not life.
It's not a good sort of.
It's not. Yeah, exactly. Because then you're around this.
You're not doing yourself any favors.
You're around this echo chamber of ideas and thought, and that is not. That's
it's poison.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Well, what happened after Belgium?
Oof. Okay. So, I had the reason, and let me back up a little bit. The reason why Belgium was so
great,
advantageous for Americans to go is because in the EU, and I don't know what it is now, but in 2008, in the EU, it took you 3 years of living in Belgium to obtain your
residency.
Dual citizenship.
Okay.
And for those of you that don't know, if you're an American, or not just an American, but it's very difficult to obtain a work permit or a work visa in Europe.
This is Agent Cody talking now.
Correct. It's not as simple as, wow, this kid's really good, let's send him to Europe. No, man. And you see national team players, but the only way that the national team players are obviously over there is because they play X amount of games for the national team in a calendar year, so that qualifies them as being superior, if you will.
Yeah, right? And I feel like that's things that people don't think about.
Correct.
Because when I was young and wanted to be a professional, I would watch these YouTube videos that would break down realistically what countries you should look at depending on how difficult it is to get a visa to work there, to earn some money there, and then to eventually get that dual citizenship. Because after that dual citizenship in Belgium happened, did you get a dual citizenship?
So I was going to tell you.
Okay.
So I was there for 2 years, and conveniently, all the paperwork that you need to provide to the consulate, the local consulate, had been lost.
No.
Yeah.
Conveniently, right?
Yeah. It's interesting. It's the term ethnocentric where they knew we were Americans. And I'm not saying anything bad about the French, but Belgium is that part of Belgium. There's a heavy French contingent. I don't think they were very happy that we were living there. And it, conveniently, oh, we lost this paperwork. Oh, we don't have this. Oh, we don't. Well,
a couple of $100 might have found it.
Right. Yeah, a couple €100. I wasn't in that position.
But I understand that type of
it was tough.
bureaucracy.
Yeah, exactly. So spent about 2.5 years there, and unfortunately was not able to reobtain my student visa. So I was looking at other options, and this is now being a pro for 2.5 years, coming back to Florida.
With a little resume.
Yeah.
Maybe some Florida teams will pick you up.
Well, a team by the name of the Puerto Rico Islanders were doing a open tryout in Orlando. And Melbourne, where I'm from, to Orlando is about 45 minutes.
But you're Puerto Rican?
Nope.
No?
No.
Okay.
No, I'll explain. So
Continue. I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's all right. So I go to this open tryout. It's me and like 20 other goalkeepers, and stood out and was invited, not to sign a contract, invited into preseason, right? And, I said, 100%. So go home, pack my bags. I think the next week they flew me down there. And for the next month, I, trained twice a day, worked my butt off, and eventually earned a contract.
Nice.
Earned a contract and spent 3 years of my career.
Was it a short contract, long contract?
Just a year. Well, I take that back. They would do, like they do now, 1 year club option. And why that's important to
because it gives
differentiate.
It's club the option to do what they want.
The player has no say in this. It's either the club wants you.
Or they don't.
Yeah, the club wants you at the end of the season, they're going to pick your option up. If they don't want you, see it. So earned a contract with them. It was great because the competition, like I mentioned earlier, you had a good mix of youth and experience. And then we were also playing in a league, at least in 2010, where we now know the USL, but there was a league called the NASL, right? That was made up of teams like...
North American Soccer League.
Yeah, North American Soccer League, exactly. So
Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale was in it. We had a team called Crystal Palace Baltimore. Rochester Rhinos were in it. We had...
The Cosmos. This is not the Cosmos.
Cosmos had come in, but a couple years after.
Okay.
The Austin Aztecs, before they became the Orlando City.
Okay.
Right?
I love that, Austin Aztecs.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, and then on the USL side, you had Vancouver Whitecaps, Montreal Impact. You had the Portland Timbers.
MLS teams now.
The MLS teams now. So, and the year before that, the Seattle Sounders, right? And they had just made that jump. So, a little history lesson for the younger viewers. It wasn't always, straight into MLS. Now these teams built up, following, built up success.
Community.
And then they make their way into the MLS. Puerto Rico, what made them so unique is we also competed in CONCACAF Champions League, right? So on top of us flying from Puerto Rico to Vancouver for an away game, which at the time was the furthest distance of two teams in the same professional league in all of the world.
Really?
Right. It was
and
like
I think that's the problem that many people don't know about playing in the MLS is that we're freaking huge.
Exactly. Well, you see all the players that are coming across, and that's one of the biggest things is like, the travel is terrible.
Yeah, that's what the Europeans that come from playing in Champions League.
Exactly, and they know a bus or they know a short flight, right? Not
Gareth Bale's about to get a surprise.
Exactly, when they goes and plays, against New York or whoever, right, or Miami. Not to mention the weather either, right? But yeah, it was a good experience because you're playing against like Vancouver Whitecaps, and then midweek you're going down to Mexico City and you're playing Toluca, and it's like, this is incredible. This is incredible, right?
It's a little bit of both worlds right there.
Exactly, and then you're going from Vancouver Whitecaps, where it's probably, in my opinion, it's one of the nicest, most beautiful places in the world. And you're going down to Mexico City playing in Toluca, and you got barbed wire fences, and the fans are yelling at you, and you're like this close, and they're telling you, whatever, you know the terminology, right? And you can't breathe because of, the altitude. And it's like, oh my God, this is incredible. Or you go to Olympia, or you go to Foz, right? You go to Honduras or El Salvador, so places like this.
It could be even worse down there too.
Dude,
right?
it's incredible. And then, people banging on the bus, throwing stuff at you. We're getting motorcade, security, detail.
Escorting you guys
exactly. And I'm like 20 years old. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, you're just geeking out.
This
like,
is incredible. This is incredible.
Just like, fuck,
right, exactly.
You're just like, yeah. yeah,
this is great. I don't know what you're saying, but thank you for the support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
No, but it was, man, what a great experience at such an early age.
Yeah.
And, pressure. Yeah, of course. I freaking love it.
Yeah.
I love it. You know what? And maybe it's a little bit of being naive and not really understanding.
Yeah, but pressure makes diamonds, baby.
Yeah,
Let's go.
exactly. Yeah. But no, it was there for 3 years. And, as is kind of a common theme in my own career, team folds. And I get the news Christmas.
Common theme in my career.
Yeah. So Christmas, like right around Christmas time, get a call that, hey, the end of 2013 going into 14. Oh, excuse me. The end of 2012 going into 13. Team folds. Okay. So I'm scrambling. I'm like, okay, I have some professional experience.
Did you have an agent?
No.
No agent.
No agent. I was doing it all on my own. My dad was helping me negotiate the contracts. But again, at that time, you don't have leverage, right? You can think you're worth X amount of dollars, but you don't have any leverage.
Did you not have any leverage with what you had been doing up to that point?
No, because it was like, you want to talk about opportunity. Opportunity was few and far between at that time. There was maybe...
But you had a few shares of opportunity, you know?
In terms of like teams that are out there. There's 4 leagues now. Yeah, 4 leagues, right? You have the USL League One Championship, you have MLS Next, and you have MLS now, right? And then you have NISA, but I'm not a huge fan of NISA.
Okay.
There was a quarter of that. So the mindset of the player was don't negotiate too much because they'll get somebody to do it for cheaper, right? So long story short, Fort Lauderdale Strikers, which is now Inter Miami.
I didn't know that they were now Inter Miami. Okay.
They were in the NASL and went into preseason. It was basically like I started all over again. I went in there as a trialist, worked my butt off. Eventually signed a contract for $500 a month. And I was living at a Holiday Inn Express.
No.
To stay in the game.
Wow.
To stay in the game. And this
Talk
is
about sacrifice.
This is 2013.
This is not glamorous at all.
No. This is where the rubber meets the road, right? Do I really want my life's trajectory? What's going on here? So you have incremental success, and then you have a little bit of down, and then up, and then. But the idea is stay in the game, stay in the game because it will get better. It inevitably will get better if you continue to work at it. You continue to be reliable. Right. Exactly. It sucks right now, but time is going to pass. Your opportunity will come. Are you going to be prepared for it or not? So you're going to have the excuse as to why it didn't work out or the reason why it did. And that year was tough because I earned the opportunity to start. I wasn't the starter. I came in as a number 2, earned the opportunity to start, and then a catastrophic kidney injury in a match, my first match.
I did read that.
Yeah.
Lacerated
kidney.
What the heck happened?
I took a knee. So coming out for a ball in the 18, call keepers, and there's going to be a collision. It's my defender. He's holding off the guy. Well, I obtain the ball, and I go to turn my shoulder like
Caught
this.
It in your chest.
In your chest,
not
yeah.
up high.
Correct.
Okay.
And I go to kind of put my shoulder into the player, and he left his feet, jumped, and his knee, my back was exposed. Knee just went boom.
He was just coming in.
Correct.
So,
and it was like
getting hit by
when you watch boxing, right, and somebody gets hit in the kidney and they just crumble. I don't wish this pain on my worst enemy. It was, and I don't say that to be dramatic. It was everything. Blood coming out of places it shouldn't be coming out of, right? I can't stand up all the way. I can't sit down all the way. And it was brutal. So, and I'm in a hotel.
You said game 1?
This is my first game, yeah. This is like 3 games in the season.
Oh, my God.
10-month recovery process.
What did you tell yourself after they patched you up? Like, Cody, are you going to bounce back from this? Are you done?
Well, it's not. Yeah, well, it's an interesting one because it's not an ACL. It's not like an elbow or a finger injury or something like that where there's rehab to it. It's just
this is like your internal thing
organs
got broken. Like, I don't know, you can operate like that.
Yeah, it was. You
can't put a Band-Aid on this one and just run back on.
I think the mindset was just control what you can control, right? Because there's a total. There's a total shift in lifestyle as well.
Pace.
Like to be active, constantly sweating, constantly diving around, making saves, yada, 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 going to the gym, being outdoors. That's me.
Yeah.
Now it's like you can't do anything.
Sit still for a second.
Oh, God. Okay, so first month or two, taking it easy. I have what's called a nephrostomy tube out of my kidney. So, and without getting too graphic, I had dual plumbing, I guess you'd say, right? I went into a bag, and I would empty
So for the people that don't know, your liver,
your kidney.
Your kidney cleans all of that stuff.
Yeah, your kidneys filter your urine, right? And again, apologize for being graphic, but it goes through your ureter into your bladder, and then you pee.
Jesus.
Right. For me, I could still do that, but I also had a nephrostomy tube out of my kidney that also had I guess you call them a colostomy bag, right? That I would kind of clip to the inside of my shorts, right? And then empty it when
occasionally just clean it out. Yeah.
So it sucked.
Yeah.
It sucked. It was brutal. It was a terrible, terrible time. And like I said,
how were you mentally? Because I feel like at this point, you're starting 1 game, 2 game. You feel like, all right, this is what I've been fighting for, and a freak accident happens.
Yes.
Like,
I have the best support system.
Good.
My parents are the best. They, and just for an example, I'm from 3 hours north, right? So thank the Lord that it didn't happen when I was in Belgium or when I was in Puerto Rico, right? So they were able to come see me. I was able to then, break the monotony up of, I can't really do anything. So I would go back
by yourself.
Right. I'd go back home. And I think that's important too. When you're healing, the environment that you're around, the people that you're around, what you're talking about, what you're taking in, right? All that stuff, that's massively important, in my opinion, to rehabilitation. So I was able to, slowly but surely start going on walks, slowly but surely start, reading more, listening to podcasts, things that interest, other things besides football. And then, 1 month turned to 3 months, turned to 6 months, turned to 9 months. And then it's like, okay, I can finally have this tube taken out. And I could start, lightly, catching volleys, moving laterally and stuff like that. So yeah, it was just controlling what you can control.
And taking it day by day.
Long-term thinking. But it sucked. It sucked, man. It was like a complete 180 from a lifestyle change than I was used to.
I cannot imagine.
So you get past that. It's like, all right, not necessarily like a new lease on life, but wow, I'm still in this position where I could still perform at a high level. I have all my vital organs intact.
Yeah, they're all inside.
They're all healthy, and let's put this behind us. So put that, like I said, 10 months, 3 surgical procedures, and a tube out of my back. And, obviously the season comes to an end. Hey, Code, thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for, the hard work and everything, but we're not going to be picking up your option. Okay. So I'm back on the grind again. So I'm back in Melbourne, and I'm scrolling through Twitter. And at the time, you're familiar with Carlos Bocanegra? So Carlos, yes. So Carlos was promoting, and at the time he played for Chivas USA. He has his own indoor facility in Upland, California.
But you're in Florida.
But I'm in Florida.
Dude.
And he's promoting this $150, you're going to be seen by XYZ scout. All right, let's do it.
Wow.
So you want to talk about
just dropping your things.
Literally and figuratively paying your dues, right? Buying the flight out there, rental car, hotel, food, right?
Yeah.
Betting on yourself.
Yeah, burn the boats again.
So go out there. And it was great. It was one of the better decisions I think I've ever made in my life, because I was one of 50 players, one of one with professional experience. And, I impressed to the point where I had a scout from LA Galaxy come to me and say, can you get back here next week? I'm like, well, I don't live close. Let me talk to my parents.
Don't live close. Where do you live?
Yeah.
Just the other side of the country.
Yeah, exactly. So long story short, I'm like, all right, fly back to, land at Orlando International. And my parents were like, yeah, we'll fly you back out there. Right. So go out there for the next weekend. And the next weekend is this invite only combine for what is now Galaxy 2. Right. So I'm out there 3 days training, other guys that have professional experience. And Sunday comes and they call me and they said, hey, can you get back out here next week? And I go, listen, this is getting way too expensive. I was like, either you guys are able to fly me out there, or I don't know what to tell you. I was like, but I'm at the airport. I'm at LAX now. I'm flying back to Florida. Let me know. And I landed in Orlando, about 45 minutes to an hour drive back to Melbourne. I get a call from Bruce Arena.
Wow.
I get a call from Bruce.
A random guy.
Yeah,
Bruce.
just a random guy. Yeah. I get a call from Bruce Arena, and he said, Code, we'd like to bring you into the first team preseason.
Wow.
And Ricardo, when I say like emotion, I wait till I hung up the phone, but not 12 months earlier, I was in a hospital.
Yeah.
I was in a hospital, and it's hard not to be romantic about personal endeavor and drive, and not having this upwards ascent into positive achievement or life achievement, because you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. And that in that moment, it was like, not necessarily everything was worth it. I'm not saying it's worth it to go through what I went through, but it's like, man,
you finally got something back.
Yeah.
A little bit of that work.
And I'm crying. I'm hugging my mom, hugging my dad. It's such a beautiful thing. So, I'll get the emotional side out of it. But
congratulations, though. Thank you.
It was not a weight lifted off your shoulders, but it was more confirmation of like, I'm on the right path.
That whole process must have been like that, because you probably showed up to play, maybe had some jitters, and then as you start playing, you start gaining a little bit of that confidence back.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I still got this.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
Nobody probably came up to you and told you at the time, but a little bit of you might have said, like, I'm killing it right now.
Exactly. That brings up a good point. I don't want to miss this, is that if you're a player who's going through an injury, right? Physically, that's one thing. So if you get cleared to come back from a knee injury or whatever, that's one thing. Mentally is a whole nother thing, right? You need those mental reps. Like from a goalkeeper standpoint, I need to be able to dive at people's feet and feel confident that even if I do take a hit, I'm going to be okay, right? And that's a whole other thing that I don't think a lot of people understand. They're just waiting to get that okay from the doctor that allows you to get back to playing, but they don't really keep in mind that this is what really dictates everything. Physically, you could feel fine. Mentally, you need those repetitions, right? To cut. If you're, if you're a midfielder or forward defender, right? You need to be able to, win your aerial duels and feel confident that you're going to land and not your knees aren't going to
buckle or anything like that.
Exactly. That's something that's very rarely kind of spoken about, talked about, and that's something that's really important. I think teams should be more aware of the mental side of it. So
which can be so hard, because you're dealing with 11, 22, 30 players all coming from different situations.
Correct.
One kid, 17, he just got bumped up from the youth team. Another guy's coming back from a lacerated internal something, And then you got veterans who are just trying to get their last years of it. So it's just a posh of situations.
You're spot on.
I don't even know how do people tackle those type of situations.
Yeah, it takes time. It takes time, and it takes, again, your environment and your support system, and that's a major factor in the recovery process, both physically and more importantly mentally. So I'm in preseason with the first team. So I'm with Robbie Keane and Landon Donovan and those guys.
Just to name a few, huh?
Yeah, right, exactly. Name drop. Rafa Garcia.
Nice.
So
so that's your first.
Rafa and I. That's when 2014.
It's probably a lot younger Rafa.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
I got all the time in the world for Rafa.
Okay.
He's just a wonderful human being.
Is he still here in Edmond?
No, he's back in LA.
Okay.
He's with the academy.
Cool.
And he's doing excellent. He's going, in my opinion, he's going to be a wonderful coach.
Think so?
His personality, you would have this guy in a locker room 11 times out of 10, just because you know what you're going to get from him, right? He's all effort all the time, and he's a great person.
Nice.
And he's a wonderful human being.
Nice.
Wonderful human being. So I got all the time in the world for Rafa.
Shout out to Rafa.
Yes, exactly. So he was the captain of G2 that year, and it was interesting because they would drop guys down. Some guys would have the right attitude of like, all right, I'm going to get games. This is going to help prepare me for my opportunity with the first team. And then you get other guys that
could be demoralizing and don't, I guess, pick up the right attitude from there, and it can quickly just turn into a slippery
had guys
slope.
that were like, the club was willing to pay their MLS salary, and they're like, no, I don't want to play in the reserve team, and they left. So it's like, it didn't make any sense. But Rafa is a good example of somebody who used it for what it was there for, right? I'm going to go get games. I'm going to prepare myself for my opportunity for the first team when that opportunity comes. So that experience that year was wonderful. One, being in the environment, and then two, being afforded the opportunity to play games. And unfortunately, my opportunity came through injury of somebody else, but I took full advantage of it, played 25 games, finally felt in a rhythm, right, as a goalkeeper.
Because this is your first good long patch of professional game time now.
Exactly. So at the end of the season, I thought I was going to get my option picked up. Didn't get my option picked up. Like, okay, on to the next.
But with more experience under your belt.
Exactly.
Now you have more leverage.
Correct.
Is the word that we were using.
Correct. So then, free agent, the Austin Aztecs call.
Okay.
And a gentleman by the name of Paul Dalglish calls, head coach. He says, we want to offer you a contract, yada, yada, whatever. I've never been to Austin. I've never been I've been to Dallas and what have you. Been to Austin to play, but haven't spent any amount of time there. And it was between Austin and one other club. I can't remember the club though at the time. And decided on Austin. I was like, you know what, this will be good. So I went there, spent a season there.
Played
as a backup.
I was
backup. And I was a backup to a young kid who would never work on his weaknesses, only want to work on his strengths, only wanted to work on the side volley and how good he looked and how great he is and have everybody, pump his tires. One and done. Never to be heard from again, right?
The writing was on the wall.
So I took that year for what it was. Worked hard at training, was a good teammate. Got maybe 5 games that year. At the end of that season, that team folds. Right. So
anything you touch just turns into rubble, I guess.
Exactly. So that team folds, and I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do? We still want to keep playing. I really enjoyed my experience in Austin, not necessarily from the playing side of it, but being professional while we were training, and then spending the afternoons in the community or coaching or meeting people.
Allowed you to grow and learn in a different capacity.
Exactly.
And it must have been hard not playing, but it seems like you had your right mental state of mind at that time.
Yeah, and I was around other guys. Like, we wouldn't have a bitch session at the end of training of like, oh, this coach sucks. What is he doing? No, it was like, all right, you know what? My time will come.
Yeah.
Just
worried about what you can control.
Control what you can control. And it was good. I mean, look, there's a ton to do in a place like Austin, right? So I was saying, don't feel bad for me, because I'd get out of training, I'd go downtown, go try a new restaurant out, or go exercise by Lady Bird Lake, or Town Lake, whatever the name is. Go kayak, go be active, right? Get your mind away from football.
How old were you at this time? Probably mid-20s?
24, 25, yeah. 24, 25. So yeah, that season, played a handful of matches.
Was what it was.
Then I go back to Florida, and for the off season, and 1 or 2 weeks into the off season, I get a call from a gentleman by the name of Jimmy Nielsen.
Nice.
Jimmy was at the time the head coach of the Oklahoma City Energy. I got to know him the 2 years prior. So with LA and with Austin, we would obviously play against each other. And he was always very complimentary, obviously him being a goalkeeper himself, to hear the compliments of, wow, man of the match from him. I was like, dude, that is the ultimate compliment. Because if I could have half the success that he had professionally,
you're going to be all right.
Be on top of the world.
And you know what that speaks to is your level of a human outside the pitch.
Correct.
Because if you weren't nice, if you weren't the way you were, maybe this would not have happened.
It's true. That's very true. Like, you not everybody who's talented is easy to work with, right? But it makes working with people that much easier if
you're a good person.
You're a good person, right?
Yeah.
And I've had teammates like that. I've had other goalkeepers that you go to work with them, and it's like, look, we can all be competitive, right? But
let's not be toxic about it.
Exactly. Don't be cursing at me under your breath because I hit a volley, a millimeter off to the right or to the left and made you take a step. Get the hell out of here, man. Yeah. So Jimmy calls me, and it didn't take much convincing. I was like, yep, I'm there. Sign. 2000 going into 2016. Yep. Sign me up.
Oklahoma City. What did you know about Oklahoma City at that time?
It was a flyover state. right? Oklahoma in general is a flyover state. I don't say that to be disrespectful, but that's how it's viewed, right? Now,
How it was viewed.
Now
We're number 20.
Yeah, exactly. But now living here for 6 years, I love it.
Now it's home.
Nice. So, yeah. So, and here's another thing about Jimmy and his wife. They picked me up from the airport.
Wow.
He didn't have to do that. That's a gesture of, that's who he is as a human, right? Brings you to the apartment complex. Is everything okay? Do you need anything? This is a guy that, and we're talking 2016, 3 years prior, he won MLS Cup with Sporting Kansas City.
He must have seen a little bit of himself in you, and I mean, having been through there, knows that those little signs of humility just go such a long way.
Yes, yeah. So and as a player, to feel valued, to feel appreciated, he was the first person in my career to say, "What you have, we want." And that makes it's again, this is the people business, right? It doesn't take much, but to express that to somebody who has worked his butt off day in and day out and kind of always been made to feel like you should just be appreciative of the opportunity, which I've always been. But to have that little bit more of this guy who's the decision maker wants me.
Yeah, I'm going to run through a wall for that guy.
Makes me feel like I'm on cloud 9. Makes me feel like I'm the most talented footballer ever. And that, again, those are the soft skills that no amount of tactical talk, no amount of scouting, right, could ever do, right? It's people.
That's what I say. It's like manners will take you where, what is it? Somewhere it won't, where skills won't.
Something along those lines. But no, and that's what he's so good at, right? Of getting a collective group to buy in, to work for one another for a common goal. And him being a leader of men, and not in a, I'm going to crack the whip and you must do as I say when I say it, right? There was a way of going about things where he made everybody feel like a somebody, or he makes everybody feel like a somebody.
It reminds me of a little bit of this Ancelotti video that I was watching, and how he makes his players feel comfortable with him, whether it's his sarcastic humor, or him giving his players confidence in that moment where he was like, Kroos, like, Marcelo, what do we do in this situation?
Yes.
What do you feel?
Yes, exactly. Because then you get, and again, at that level, I can only imagine, but you get buy-in from people. And when you're in a team sport, right, after a singular objective, you need buy-in from people. And players aren't stupid. They could smell a fraud, right? And if there's any sense of that, then you've lost the change room, right? And if you lose the change room, good luck. It's already hard enough as it is, right? But he was so good at a collective group of individuals that had buy-in, and he was the glue. He was exactly, and he would go to bat for you. He would back you, right? And then in turn, you're gonna get, even if it's 1 or 2% better return on your ability, your play. Sometimes that's the difference between a win and a loss.
I've been reading this book called The Compound Effect, and 1% a day adds up over time.
Exactly. 1% better every single day. And I try to subscribe to that. I'm human, right? So we all have better days than others. But he was just, you come to training, you're excited to be there, right? We're at, no disrespect to Taft Stadium, but it's not. No, it's not.
It's not wide enough. I went to I played high school there, and we know.
It's not the Bernabeu.
Yeah, no. If the players are frustrated, us on the sidelines know that it's not the best.
Right.
It's a brawl. It's small.
Exactly. It's not football.
It doesn't allow you to do what you need to do.
Exactly. It's not football. So I say all that to say, like, because we were training there as well every single day. We knew what we were in for, but at least we're showing up and we're excited to be there, right? Because it was as much as a professional environment as it was a hang. We enjoyed each other's company. We weren't looking to get done with training, get out of there as fast as possible, and get away from each other. No, we genuinely liked being around each other. I mean, we'd sit in the damn locker room at Taft, right? Which isn't,
No, I mean, it's shared with high schoolers.
It's bare bones.
Yes,
it's bare bones. It's not a professional environment
and
whatsoever.
Not to say anything bad about it. I understand, but it's what you have and what you have to work with.
Correct. And to be able, that was the ultimate, I think, compliment to him, that he is able to create or cultivate a culture of people that, one, enjoy being around each other, and two, will fight like hell for one another.
Because that's a hard thing to do, considering where they could be in 10 years from now.
You're spot on.
With that multi-purpose stadium, wherever that thing is going to get built.
Exactly.
You got to go through those tough moments.
Exactly. So if you don't have that stadium piece, if you don't have that training ground piece, right? If you're constantly, having to wait for the local high school to get done with training before you get to go train. And as a professional, some Europeans were like, what is this?
Yeah.
What the hell is this?
Imagine coming from LA, how it could have been for people coming from LA too, or all this other stuff, Galaxy.
Correct. So it was one of those things where you're appreciative for the opportunity again, but
because like you said, other people would die to be there.
Correct. But then at the same time, you're going to play against LA2 and you're playing at StubHub Center, and everything is
StubHub to Taft can't hold a candle.
Exactly.
Or you're going to play in a baseball stadium in Tulsa.
Exactly. So yeah, it was, we appreciated what we had, but we also knew it was like, all right, well, you need a certain type of individual here that can have buy-in, that's talented, because you're not going to get the prima donna striker who's used to New York or LA to come here and ply his trade.
It could be coming from France and have an eye-opening experience down here.
Exactly. So yeah, long story short, Jimmy coming to this team was the whole motivating factor, for me to come here.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then you show up to Oklahoma, get a couple games in. You were the goalie at the moment, or
I was I was the starter from when I first got here.
What year was that?
2016.
Okay.
2016.
How was the season going?
Was this the year? Was
this the year that we had made playoffs? And
yeah, we made playoffs, but the year before was when Evan Newton was here.
Okay.
And I think that's when Energy won in penalty kicks against Colorado Springs in the semifinal. 2016, we did well. I think we lost to Vancouver. 2017, we lost in the conference final to Sporting in penalty kicks. And then, things kind of went from here, and they slowly started, going downhill. You had change in coaches. You had, I'd say, a revolving door of players, and the term culture, the term family, all these things that get thrown around. You cannot have any of that with the turnover that we had, right? You can't have, buy-in from people if they're going to be here for 6 months. You can't have that. They're looking for the next, if you're not going to secure at least their immediate future, how do you expect them to, give everything, you got to understand people. Yeah. And that's something that I think that it got to a point where bring this player in, this one's leaving, bring this player in, this one's leaving. You're not going to have success that way.
No.
You're not, you look at the clubs that have had long-term sustained success, and they have a core group of individuals that know what the culture is. They know what the expectation is, right? And they know the certain way of doing things. Well, good luck doing that if year in and year out you have a brand new locker room with 22 guys. Yeah. You're not going to have success. I mean, it's not rocket science, man. It's not. So that's kind of where the club found itself. And, I did my best to kind of be the,
do your part.
Be the steady, steady the ship, if you will, or be the reliable guy, did my best.
But there's only so much
I can do.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's a tough one to kind of fix,
100%.
But on top of all of that, I mean, you still got called up to play for Puerto Rico.
Yes.
And that was what, in 2016, your first season into Energy?
Correct.
How was it how did you get called up?
Yeah. So getting back to our initial conversation about the experience in Puerto Rico, because it's a Commonwealth of the United States, I'm able to, and
that was going to be my question, because you said you didn't have parents that were from Puerto Rico, but being Commonwealth with the United States might allow something different.
Correct. Because I live there, right? You don't have to give up your passport. You just are able to prove, through leases or through bills or what have you, that you've lived there for X amount of years. You're able to represent the national team.
Cool.
So I was like, oh, absolutely.
I got that under my belt.
I was like, let's do it. There's a very small amount of people that play professionally. There's even a smaller amount that actually get to play internationally. Yeah. So I was like all about it.
So who came up with you with this option?
Somebody at the Federation when I was there. When I was there initially in 2012.
Oh, okay. So this was something that kind of had been brewing for some time.
And I was interested, of course. I was like, thank you. That's really, really an awesome opportunity. But at the time I was 22 as a goalkeeper. I was like, I'm going to hold out because if my career keeps going, maybe I go to the U.S. national team,
to do that.
right? Something like that. Fast forward, I'm 26. I'm like, okay, national team's not on my radar. So let's take advantage of the opportunities that are provided. And what a wonderful opportunity it was. I loved every single minute because you get to go back to the island. It's a very proud culture. And, you know, it's a beautiful place to live. 2, they're just beautiful people. And 3, they're just so inviting and appreciative of the pride that the individual takes in representing the flag, representing the culture, representing the people. That I love that. I absolutely love that. So every camp that I got invited to, yes, absolutely. I'll be there. I'll play to the best of my abilities. I hope my play is a reflection of how much that I care, you know, because it's not easy. It's not easy flying, 2 or 3 flights there. And then you got to go fly some, obscure place, like for example.
On top of your energy schedule.
Exactly.
And on top of being a goalie, because being a goalie isn't easy either.
Correct.
So you're dealing with all that.
Correct. So yeah, my first opportunity with the national team in a competitive match that I got to play in was against Indonesia.
Okay.
In Indonesia.
Really?
Yeah. So finished up a match here, flew Oklahoma City, Miami, met up with the team in Miami. We flew Miami to Doha.
Wow.
Doha to Jakarta.
Wow.
And then Jakarta to, I can't remember the name of the city, but another hour flight. So it was like 30 plus hours of travel.
Yeah, but I mean, you're probably just soaking it all in.
Oh my God, I wasn't sleeping. I was like, this is the best. So we go there and we're there for about a week, and we play a friendly match, and we're playing against this local team, and we pumped them like, I don't know, 7-8-0. I'm thinking to myself, God, we came all the way this way. And
you came all the way there to just stand there and watch your team.
And it's not going to be, well, I couldn't have been any further from the truth. I was like, we're rolling up to the stadium the day of the game to play, and it felt like what a Champions League final would have been. Everybody's outside.
I can't imagine what soccer's like over there.
Oh my gosh, it's insane.
Is it?
It's insane. 30,000 people.
Wow.
30,000 people.
Is that the biggest crowd you've played?
That's the biggest crowd, yeah, for sure.
Your first international game.
First international
game.
And
this is what it's about right
exactly,
here. Standing, hearing your national anthem play and all that.
Yep.
Wow.
And then the crowd is going nuts. Like, I told the ops manager, right, for the national team, I said, please take as many photos and videos as you possibly can, because I don't know when I'm going to experience this.
Yeah, you could get your kidney lacerated.
Right.
In the
Yeah.
first
Exactly.
Play in the corner.
Exactly. So those memories are phenomenal memories.
Nice.
And then went on to, represent them World Cup qualifying.
Which is insane within itself.
Yeah.
Too, because
yeah,
you're holding a dream that players like Jorginho can't do.
Yeah.
He can't go. He can't go to the World Cup.
That's a
but
good.
You're there with those guys.
Exactly. So that, and then Nations League was another one where, okay, they're glorified friendlies, but still, we're playing against Trinidad and Tobago. We're playing against Guatemala. We're playing against all these teams. So just a great experience. Get to travel, get to see, get to compete
against the best countries.
Yeah, exactly. And then again, getting back to our conversation about life experience and interacting with people that maybe don't have the same life experience as you do. It's very enriching. It's for the best, for the positive, right? So represented them all the way up until 2021, and then decided to call it a day.
Really? Just 2021? Why'd you call it a day then?
So when my contract didn't get picked up here, I wasn't offered a new contract.
Okay.
Right. I recently got married, bought a house here. The opportunities that were
was before you had that option with the contract not get picked up. You had already gotten married and bought your house? Okay.
Correct. Yeah, I got married in 2020 and bought a house right before we got married.
How do you even get married in these type of situations? Because you have to be straightforward and be like, hey, I'm a professional soccer player. Right. It goes year by year. Yes. I don't know if I'm going to be here. Am I going to be there? Like, is there this talk that you have to
100%. 100%. And that was a big factor in, I feel, could I have played longer? Yes. But
that's what I was going to say, because now you have international caps under your
Right.
belt. So you could have
Correct.
had more. You did have more leverage at that point.
Yeah. And yes, but the opportunities financially that were coming my way, they weren't worth it.
So now
it was
you probably felt like you were hanging on to it a little too long and letting other things slip by.
Correct. And, to go be the backup at Charlotte for $1,000 a month. I'm 32 years old at the time. That's not where my life's trajectory is going.
22 maybe.
22, single guy. Yeah, absolutely. Sign me up. I'll be on the next flight. 30, 32, 33. Nah, man. I don't want to, and I've seen this with guys. They need football.
You understood pretty early that there was going to come a time.
This is finite. Just like life. It's finite, right? There's an end point, right? And there's nobody that beats, the clock or time, right? As they say.
Father Time is undefeated.
Exactly. And I didn't want to be one of those guys that's like, 37 years of age, still kicking it around for a couple $1,000 a month. No, man, I want to build something. And the other thing is this, I got really tired, especially you have these end of the season meetings with coaches and personal opinions are, you don't know jack, what about anything, but you hold my future in your hands. Nah, dude. Like I hold my future in my hands. I dictate how my life goes. And to hear coaches that really have no business saying, yeah, we're letting you go. Say that. Okay. So that to me, I was like, all right, that was a realization of, man, I do not want to be beholden to anybody. I want to be the creator of my future. And this is the best way that I know how, right? I still work for people, but I'm able to work for them in a capacity that's vastly different than...
That's using a lot more different skills that you've been
Correct.
able to accumulate over these past
Correct.
10 years. And on top of that, I think you're still scratching your goalie itch because you're doing soccer ally stuff.
Yes.
There's a camp coming up in a few weeks.
Yes,
so
exactly. Shameless plug, by the way.
Right, we'll get there.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
okay.
But yeah, that definitely must have been a tough one. But I think, and I know that I feel like you're navigating it pretty well.
I'm trying. Look, it comes with its own unique challenges. Don't get me wrong. There's been some times where I'm like, oh, should I? But I'm like, no, man. It comes and goes, right? I think that I give myself a little bit of advantage in the business world, kind of taking my lumps now. And let's say fast forward 2 years from now, I'm 35, 36 years of age. Then I have all this experience that somebody who, if I held on and just kind of went year to year, played at this team, I wouldn't have that experience. So I look at it like, okay, let's get out a little early. Let's set the foundation of what I want to do next.
Let me make my mistakes now.
Yes.
Learn.
And then 2-3 years down the road, I can be cooking with gas, as they say. I can be in a good groove. I can make a name for myself as no longer Cody Laurendi, the goalkeeper, but no, Cody Laurendi, the trusted agent. And this is the guy that you need to talk to. This is the guy that
has been there.
Yes, exactly. So, and I'm starting to get a little bit of it now. I'm starting to get a little bit more traction where coaches, technical directors, presidents are kind of funneling players my way. And they're saying, this is the guy you need to work with. Reach out to him, right? Nice. And that is something that comes from...
It's a lot of hard work.
A lot of years, time. Trust.
That's the next word I was going to use.
Yes.
Trust. Reliability.
Yes.
You're not just a random Joe who's just going to be like,
Correct.
Don't call me, I'll call you.
Consistency.
You sound like a mentor as well.
Exactly. So it's a natural, to me, it's a natural progression of moving away from the playing side of it into the player representation side of it, where I can utilize these years of compounding experiences to pay it forward.
Yeah.
And it's the best way I know how to, because young people, and again, I'm not saying I'm old by any means. I don't have it all figured out again, but I've lived some life. I've experienced the highs and the lows, and I'm here to give perspective, experience-based perspective, not just, I read this in a book and I think this is how it should come across. Or
I'm Cody, and there's nothing that I know better in my life than this.
Exactly.
I understand that.
So yeah, that's kind of what went into the decision. And again, I don't want to be beholden to somebody else's decision making at the end of a season. It's like, I got to pick up and move now again because they don't like what I bring to the table. No, man, no.
That's the hard part of this level of soccer, isn't it? That is just so cutthroat.
And let's be honest, if it was $1 million we're talking about, okay, I could do I could push on.
But it's not.
It's not.
You're barely getting paid enough to live.
Correct.
And I can't imagine.
And again, I have aspirations, have a family, kids, soon.
Really?
No, well, that's the hope.
I'm about to say congratulations.
Yeah, no.
One day.
One day, exactly.
Okay.
I'm not going to get there. I'm not going to get any closer to that if I'm
hanging on to. Which isn't bad to hang on to the dream, but I feel like you knew when to move on.
Correct.
Which is...
I feel like I've exhausted my potential from an athletic standpoint.
But this is something that you can do till your knees can get blown out, and you can still... You're not going to lacerate a kidney trying to scout somebody.
And that's the other thing is like, do you have regrets? No, I don't have a single regret from the playing side of it.
I bled for this. I did in a bag for this.
Yeah, I did everything.
You left it all on the table.
Exactly. So that's what I think is a lot of guys... the mentality from a player standpoint is you don't want the game to tell you when your time is up. I wanted the opposite. I wanted to leave it on my terms. And I think that's important. There's a lot of guys where they're like, yeah, I'd love to keep playing, but my phone's not ringing. That's a brutal freaking place to be.
Talk about brutal place to be. What about the place of being the person that tells the person that
I've had to do it a couple of times with guys. It's like, listen, we're the same age and you're playing, I don't know, whatever level you're playing, you're not getting paid. It's very difficult to be honest with yourself. I'm not coming at this from a place of, I'm not trying to be brutal. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but next time you're in your changing room, look around, right? Look around at those ages of those players, 21, 22, 23, 33, 34 years old. You got to start looking to see what else is out there, right? Because there's a heck of a lot more life to live, but you get so kind of
caught up
enthralled in this is who I am. It's my identity, yada, yada, yada. No, man. No. There's a big world out there. You can be of service to many people in many other ways, not just through your athletic ability, that start thinking outside this box.
And that's where it matters if you were the nice guy or if you were a mean guy your whole career, because doors open.
Correct.
Doors open, and depending on how you were in those tough moments, we'll find out.
Exactly.
We'll find out.
Exactly.
Well, it seems like things are going really good for you then.
Consistency. The same thing as a player, same mentality as a player. It's, and consistency doesn't mean 10 out of 10 every single day, right? Consistency just means I'm up, I have my routine, I stay in I don't let a week pass without contacting a player that I represent. Is anything you need me to take care of? It's those are like your rules that you have. Correct.
For yourself.
It's serving others and serving others, and then being getting back to being able to promote and make people feel good, right? Because it's the only thing in life that people remember, right? Is how you made them feel, right? And if I can make you feel like $1 million, right, you're never going to forget that.
No.
And that's the same mentality I took as a teammate when it came to positive, self-talk, and then obviously, positivity towards my teammates. That's the same kind of blueprint that I have in life, is to make everybody feel like a somebody.
It's kind of like that football player. It's like, you look good, you feel good.
You feel good, you play good. And you play good, and you get paid good.
There we go. See? Nice.
Yeah, that's Deion Sanders. I'm a big Florida State fan. So Deion Sanders said that back in the day.
It's a bar.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
I know.
A bar right there.
I know. They also asked him why he doesn't warm up, and he said something along the lines of, you ever seen a lion warm up before he stalks his prey or eats his prey or something along those lines? He said it much more articulate than I could, but same. He was a human highlight reel, both on and off the field.
Nice. Well, I mean, sports agent.
Yes.
I have more sports agent questions, but you're also doing coaching as well, right?
Correct.
Tell me a little bit about that. What do you have going on?
I love to teach. I love to teach. I love to work with young people because they're very malleable. More malleable, I think, than the adults, right? And from a goalkeeping perspective, it's a unique one because we're outliers in a team sport.
Goalkeepers, they are. I was just having that conversation with Ricky and how he is now the goalie director at Cosmos, and how he has been able to take that upon himself with starting a goalie program, which It's tough. As a goalie, you go to practice with 11 to 22 players. You're doing field stuff. A good coach might have some one-on-one attention. Majority of them, you're just out there with the field players, and you get no one-on-one attention.
And it's a very it's a lonely place to be because, right or wrong, it's like being the kicker in football, right? They're always going to say, oh, well, they're not going to look at the 60 minutes that led up to that game-winning kick that you missed.
It's the kicker that missed it, why we lost. When the kicker just be like, well, if you guys are leaving it for me to win, then you guys aren't doing your job to begin with.
Correct. So goalkeeping is very similar in that aspect of like, hey, there's 90-plus minutes, but there was one action where
we got scored.
I don't know. Could the keeper have done better, right? Not, hey, this striker had 7 opportunities and skied 6 of them, right? But he scored 1, so he's looked at as like the man, right? If you had those same numbers as a goalkeeper, if you miss 6 but save 1, you're not going to be a goalkeeper for very long, right? So working with young people in this in that capacity, there's a level of embarrassment when you get scored on that these young people. And I don't say just young people, but I think people in general will always struggle with because it is embarrassing. It's like, but being able to explain to them that, listen, I'm 33 years old, I had a long career, and there wasn't a day that went by that I didn't make mistakes. And then you see that light bulb in their mind go, oh, and it's almost like a relief, like a visual weight off of their shoulders of, I don't have to be perfect. All I have to do is just do my best to be consistent and work hard. I love that because then you're able to get through to the human, right? The soccer is, to me, the soccer is the vehicle, but it's the life skill of being selfless. Because if you're a goalkeeper, you have to be selfless by nature. If you're a defender, you have to be selfless by nature. If you're a striker, you have to be selfish.
You can be a little egotistical out there.
But yeah, you have to be the one that's willing to take the shot, right? From a defensive standpoint, you got to be the one who's willing to put their face
on the line.
Right? And
remind me of Vidic right there.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But getting through to young people and seeing that light bulb, that aha moment, and then seeing them kind of level up, and work hard and be consistent. And I try to be very complimentary to, hey, you can thank me for being out here, but it's you and it's your determination and it's your hard work and your willingness to not, to want to constantly improve. That's why you're getting the results that you're getting. That's why you're able to jump higher. That's why you're able to feel more confident. That's why you're able to kick further, to save, further shots, right? It's down to you. Yeah. And then to see that like aha moment, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful, and that fulfills me in ways
that soccer individually probably couldn't, because now you're using your stuff to feed other players.
Correct.
And that has a bigger impact.
Exactly. It's the term force multiplier. If I can then instill that level of thinking into a young person, then, and I've heard parents have come to me and they've said, and this is the ultimate compliment, my kid feels more confident in social settings. They feel more confident in public speaking. They feel they feel more comfortable in their own skin. Right. And I'm not saying we're doing anything astronomical here. It's still sport.
It's not rocket science.
It's not rocket science.
Training goalie skills, but that just feeds into all these other things.
It compounds, and you have confidence in yourself and the self-belief that comes of it, right? And that is something that I get so much joy from seeing. Of like, I remind the kids constantly. I remember 6 months ago when you couldn't do this, this, and this. And they're like, yeah. And I go, look at you now. Not only did you just complete these 3 tasks, you've done outstanding. So let's compound that over a year, over 2 years, over 5 years, and think about where you're going to be. And I tell these kids constantly, like 11, 12 years of age, I'm like, you guys are so much more advanced.
That's what I was going to say, because you didn't play, you didn't take your goalie serious until after high school almost, and now you're training kids in elementary school, middle school,
and they're hard on themselves. But I think there's tremendous value of expectation within the human, but it's also important to give them perspective and to say, hey, don't be too hard on yourself. You're only 11.
Yeah, you got to be able to take that little kid and just suck him back out and be like, hey, dude, you're fine.
You're only 11, okay? And you're doing things that I could have only dreamt of doing at 11 years of age, okay? So you're doing just fine. I know it's hard because, okay, you're not on the number 1 team, or so-and-so is a goalie and they only chose him because he's taller, Can you control that? No, you can't. Let's get to work. Right. And of course now in the summer you're going through it and it's like 99 degrees, 100 degrees. These kids are just eating it up. I'm like, you sure you want to train? Like, oh yeah, 100%. Okay. All right. We're going to take plenty of breaks. We're going to, I'm not interested in running you into the ground here, but their willingness to drive their own proverbial vehicle in life and not have mom and dad say, yep, you're going to training today. No, mom, I don't want to. No, I get to go to training.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of personal training, and that's a funny situation to be at. Whenever a parent drops a kid off and they're not wanting to train, and you're just like,
it's like pulling teeth.
You're paying to be here,
exactly,
and you're not cutting it.
Exactly, and I've had a couple of those conversations over the years of say, hey, mom and dad are paying a good amount of money to provide you an opportunity. Now, do you want to take this seriously, or you just kind of want to, screw around? Because if you want to screw around, I'm not the one who's.
I'm not that guy, pal.
You're not that guy, pal. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, and that's, when I speak to the young people and I speak to the parents, I say, look, I'm not somebody who's going to be yelling at you constantly. I want to uplift you. I go, but that comes with a expectation that you're going to give your best.
Some personal responsibility.
Personal responsibility. And I don't care if you make mistakes. I make mistakes. Right. But effort is a non-negotiable. Give me whatever your highest amount of effort is this day. That's what you give me. I will give it in return. Right. I don't care if you screw up. I don't care if you make mistakes. That's what we're out here to do. We're out here to not be perfect. Because if we're perfect, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Right. There would be no need for this.
Yeah.
Let's make the mistakes out here. Let's work through them. Let's communicate with each other and let's try to get better. Right. But non-negotiable is your effort. And I'm not interested in just going through the motions. So for the most part, it gets received in a way of like, oh, okay, yeah, I can buy into that. I can be that. Because you get coaches that are like, we have to be perfect 24/7, 360. That's not, get out of here, man.
Yeah.
Get out. That's not realistic. That's not realistic. You're not going to feel 100% all the time.
Not only that, if that's the energy you're projecting to your kids, imagine how fearful they're going to be for making mistakes.
Correct.
So now they're not going to be.
Correct.
Soccer's weird. Like, you don't want to put that type of pressure on somebody because you cut creativity. That
exactly.
could into some more growth, because if you cut someone's creativity off early, that will prevent them from wanting to do things later.
Spot on.
So I think it needs to be a mixture of hard work, a lot of fun, but then also open to be able to make those mistakes.
Make those mistakes in an environment where you're not going to be absolutely crucified for doing it, and you're 10 years of age, and then you're just
10 years old. You imagine?
And then you're just absolutely petrified.
It ruins the game.
It ruins the game. It absolutely does, and that's the thing that I hope the takeaway. Whoever does watch this and maybe has a young person that's playing the sport, this fear of having your kid fail. It's so important for them to fail.
Yeah.
That by kind of harvesting this environment where you're never going to experience failure is the worst thing you could possibly do.
Yeah.
Right.
I 100% agree. I was just telling Ricky, I have a 4-year-old. When he makes a mistake, he goes, "I'm sorry." I said sorry, and like he said stupid the other day, and I heard him in my room, and I said, "Hey," he said sorry, and I said, "Don't say it again, okay?" I said sorry. Ran into his room and started crying, and I had to go in there and be like, "Hey, buddy, it's okay to make mistakes.
Yes,
I'm not gonna hate you.
Right.
I want this to be a mistake-making place so that you can learn from that.
Correct.
And yeah, we need to make more mistakes.
100%. And it's an interesting one because you do strive for perfection. Nobody's going to be perfect, right? Strive for consistency. Consistency will take you places, right? This whole concept of I have to be perfect 24/7, 365. You're not a robot. You have ups and you have downs. That's life, right? But to think that these young people have to be perfect from an early age, we have to win every tournament, we have to play on every top team. And that's the other thing is like, oh, I'm on the second team. Well, are you playing? Yeah. Okay, so what's the problem? Is it an ego thing? Is it mom and dad's ego that's getting in the way here, right?
That's one word that I wanted to talk to you about being a sports agent is you're dealing with humans, but you're mainly dealing with egos. Yeah. And egos are terrible. They can be, depending on how a person deals with his own ego.
Correct.
Conversations about maybe ending your career, maybe being on the second team. Yeah. It's all just internal mental ego battles that we have with ourselves.
100%. Yeah, because you're like, oh, well, I'm better than this, or I shouldn't be, this shouldn't happen to me, or why, woe is me, why is this happening? That's human nature. But then you got to get rid of that thinking quick immediately and just say, all right, this is the reality of the situation. I can bitch about it, right? Or I can actually actionable offenses that will help me get out of my current situation into where I believe I belong.
Imagine an ego for a goalie. You get scored on once. What do you do there?
It's brutal.
You get scored on twice. What do you do in those games where you get scored 4 times?
Or like if you have a rough go of it and you got the fans behind you, the opposition picks the ball up at midfield and they're yelling, shoot, shoot, shoot.
Right.
It's embarrassing.
Oh, damn.
It's a lonely place. It's a lonely existence. But I wouldn't have it any other way because you learn a hell of a lot about yourself.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people that can do that.
Yeah, that's an endeavor that, athletically, athletics aside, it's this. And it's how much can you deal with? Because, from a playing standpoint, that's why goalkeepers obviously can play longer, is because it's not as rough on their body. But up here,
it's even harder. Can you imagine all the goalies that are in the world, but only one get to represent a team on the field?
Correct.
As opposed to you could be one of the 20 on the squad, and if you're a defender, well, maybe you can play, the right wing.
Yeah.
If you play the right.
Ricardo,
back.
it took me 7 years for the privilege to sit on the bench as a pro. 7 years. I was the number 3 for 7 years, and then all of a sudden, boom. Worked my butt off. To sit on the bench. And then it was like, okay, can I level up again? Can I get an opportunity to play as the number 1? Of course it comes, but it's not, if you're looking for instant gratification, do anything but this.
Right. They say 0.1% of players play professional.
Right.
Imagine the ones that get to play goalie.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And there's, like you said, there's only one of you.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to be a supportive teammate. You have to the self-talk has to be positive. Hey, I'm going to get an opportunity. My time will come. Just keep working, be a good teammate, do the extra work, so on and so forth. And then things will inevitably,
flourish,
change in your, change in your favor. But yeah, it can be a lonely existence. It can be, but it can also be the most fulfilling, opportunity that you have in life to contribute to a win and playing your part as an outlier in a team sport.
Nice. Well, that's a story you have on you, man. And it's still being written.
Yeah.
We're almost an hour and 45 minutes
Love
in.
it. I love it.
It's gone by so fast.
Oh, right?
So fast. And there's still more to go. But tell me about your soccer camp that you have.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Myself, Alexis Vizarellis, who was my goalkeeper coach here for the Oklahoma City Energy, who's now a youth coach up in Edmond, and John Brown, former teammate of mine. We have decided to run our own independent, we call it a striker keeper camp, but it's not as if we're only closing it off to strikers and keepers. Our goal is, and I've noticed this, and it's not to badmouth anybody, but youth soccer is very we're fencing everything off. You're either with us or against us, and I don't buy into that whatsoever. It doesn't matter what club you come from. It doesn't matter what ability you're at. Right? We want to create an environment of an accepting environment of people that want to come out and want to get better at something.
Yeah, because it shouldn't be restricted to, you play for Celtic, you can't come over here. You're in Cosmos, we don't want you over here. You're in Royal, because it's it has been corrupted into such a business mode. It's a service.
Where you don't have the player's best interest, right? That's what we want. We want to provide an opportunity, one, where you're going to come out, you're going to work hard. There's an expectation for you to work hard, to be focused, but at the same time, we're going to be your biggest supporters, right? We're going to compliment you when you do things well. We're going to teach. We want to create an environment where people want to be a part of, the force multiplier, right? Where everybody around you wants to be around you. You're going to leave a session after 3 or 4 hours, right, for the next 3 days, where, man, you can't wait to come back.
Yeah, you're going to give them something.
I can't wait to come back. I can't wait to work on skill or I can't wait to see what the session is going to be like tomorrow, right? And that's something, again, where it's an extension of who we are as humans. Nobody can compete with that. Nobody can compete with that, right? You can say, we were at this club and we, this is a 3-day camp and this is an ID camp. Okay. We're 3 individuals who have professional experience,
plethora of experience,
and want to pay it forward. Want to pay it forward to this next generation, and want to do the work. Right, be out there with you, coaching. I'm not sitting up in an ivory tower.
Yeah, sending somebody else to coach.
Correct. It's me. It's Lex, and it's John. We're in there, and we're teaching what we know, and we're teaching what we know in a way that is going to get through to young people, and it's going to get through in a way where they're going to want more of it.
Nice.
They're not going to feel or I can't make a mistake or uptight. No, listen, we're
Even though you guys are high caliber dudes, you guys can afford to make a mistake here.
Correct. Correct. We want that environment of people can't wait to come back.
Nice. Where is it going to be at?
So it's going to be held at Score OKC.
I love that facility.
Yes, they're wonderful people. Rob and Angie up there, class. Awesome.
Rob is class.
Awesome people. So we're going to be up there the 27th, 28th, and 29th of July.
This should come out in 2 weeks, so that'll be perfect.
Perfect. The sessions will be from 8 a.m. to noon.
Okay, 4 hours.
4 hours, obviously with
the
the weather.
break and whatnot.
100%. 100%.
Could be indoors, could be outdoors.
Yes, and
we have options.
what we're going to do, we're going to bring in a classroom aspect of it, and we really want to talk about
why we're doing what we're doing.
Exactly.
You're pulling them out and getting down to the details.
Exactly, because that gets overlooked massively.
It does. You can go out there and tell them to run this way, but if they don't know why, you're trying to put that into a situational kind of map, it does no good.
Yes, and then on top of that, the extra service that we are going to provide, and again, this is all based off of scheduling and timing and everything like that. I'm going to bring in a few of my players that I work for to hop on a Zoom call.
Wow.
And have the young people be able to do a Q&A.
Nice.
So the players that I work for, if they're available, throw them up on Zoom. You know, so and so, the 9-year-old who
that's going to mean the world to them.
Ask a pro a question, right? Both on the men's and the women's side. So providing a level of service that nobody around here can provide. Period. Exactly. And that's not to sound egotistical. That's
you got to toot your own horn sometimes. I hear you. I'll do it for you. No worries.
Thanks, bro. I've suffered for this to be able to say that, right? But to really get down to the human behind the soccer player, right? And what do you struggle with? Be honest. Let's be, there's a lot of pressure on me when I'm playing in these matches. Okay. But pressure or getting nervous, right? That's a good thing. And explaining it to them in a way of, hey, that means you care about the job that you're going to do, right? Don't let it consume you. Don't let those nerves consume you and you're going to be a shell of yourself. But appreciate what that is. That's because you care about the job that you're doing. That's why you feel nervous, right? And you're going to do great. You're going to do great. And you know what? If you make mistakes, I make mistakes. Everybody in this room makes mistakes, right? But to explain it in a way of the aha moment where, oh, wow, you played for X amount of years and you weren't perfect. And, you're still here and, nothing bad happened to you. Yeah, I'm still here. Getting through to this next generation in that way is so overlooked and so, in my opinion, it's so sorely needed that I hope our collective hope is that is what the takeaway is. Soccer, again, that's the vehicle. We're out there. We're gonna have a great time. A ton of touches on the ball. We're gonna work, drills, exercises, small-sided games. But can we go a level?
How can we take it further?
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly.
How can I sign up? Where do we?
So on my social media, we put out I guess you call it a digital flyer. We put it out on the social media.
Which is a nice flyer, by the way.
Thank you so much. Thank you. There's a local gentleman. His name escapes me. I'll send you his contact. Wonderful human. Put together a great flyer. There is contact info. It's my personal cell phone, personal email address. We're going to continue to kind of every couple of days put it back on the stories on social media and stuff like that. And try to, we would love to have big numbers, but if
you get small numbers, even better. You get that one-on-one session, less numbers, more time alone.
Exactly. So, it's going to be our maiden voyage, but we hope that we can at least do this, if not, semi-annually, we could do this quarterly.
Yeah, that'd be awesome too.
And provide something different than what the quote-unquote club experience provides in an environment where you're going to get better and you're having people that are coaching you that have lived it. Right? They care. And there's value there. So that's our goal in this upcoming camp, to really positively impact this next generation.
Nice. I love that. Yeah. Well, if anybody that's listening to it wants to sign up, find them on social media. You know where to look for it.
Shoot me a direct message. We'll be promoting it every couple of days leading up to the camp. If it's something that you want to show up for a day, because it is a 3-day camp, we'd prefer that you're there for 3 days so we can get to work with you. But if scheduling is an issue, you can only come one day, no problem. We can facilitate that.
Any questions? Send them your way.
Send them my way. That's right.
Nice.
That's right.
Well, I think we're close to wrapping this up, but you didn't tell me, we didn't get to touch on your podcast that
yes. Well, we got looking at this camera or that camera?
This is yours. This is mine.
Champions Code, baby.
Champions Code. What is Champions Code? Which I love the name too. I need some gear. You make me feel.
I'll talk to my guy.
I need to make because I need to make myself some gear. I feel like I'm being left out here.
Yeah, so the Champions Code is a podcast that I started about 8 to 10 episodes in. Mm-hmm. Started a couple months ago. Fellow, or they could be teammates, friends, people that I've played against for years.
So you're interviewing soccer people,
but that's not the crux of the argument, or the discussion, if you will. It's more of the person behind it. And not to get too philosophical, but it's like, hey, what makes you tick, right? And let's talk about, the ups and the downs. Okay. Let's talk about the reality versus the perception of being a professional. And how you balanced living in the moment of being a professional athlete, but without the financial security long term.
How'd you do it?
How do you do it? Right. And that's a big topic of conversation. And that's another conversation that is never had.
I can't imagine once you start, at least lead with that, where that can take you.
Exactly.
Because one of my persons that I've interviewed said, you don't write anything down. And I said, I don't. I kind of had a script in my head, but you really can go anywhere once you ask the right questions.
Exactly. And that's something that, I have a basic outline of career achievement, but that's the first 5 minutes. The next 45 to an hour is who is the human behind it? What makes you tick? And look, we could talk, we get into discussions about soccer. If I'm interviewing a goalkeeper, of course. It's like, it's probably boring for the normal person, but goalkeeper to goalkeeper, it's like, wow. You're me living another life, and we have a lot of similarities.
Like doppelganger. If you were born here at this time by these parents.
Exactly. So the takeaway that I would like the viewers or the listeners, right, to have is the person behind the player, not just this great soccer player. Right.
No, it sounds like now you're painting a realistic picture to those people who want to know the life of a professional soccer player.
Correct.
The hard parts, the best parts, the stuff
not
that
just
people don't get to see.
Not just the Instagram highlight reel.
Not just a picture of you walking into Tap Stadium holding your coffee.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Let's talk about that week leading up to it when you weren't feeling great, or you were dealing with an injury, or you didn't know if you were going to play up until, 3 hours before kickoff.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Where can I find the podcast?
So it's on Spotify.
Perfect.
Okay, and it's also on YouTube.
Cool.
So those are the two.
It's a video podcast.
It's a video podcast. Nice. Not. I'd say this. It doesn't have the production value that you have. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? But it is. It's
compound effect. You're gonna get there
little by little. Exactly.
And if you ever need help, dude, I can.
Thank you.
Definitely lend you.
Absolutely take you up on that.
Show you
offer.
whatever I do. We gotta help each other out.
At 100%. Yeah. So YouTube and Spotify.
Champions Code. What made you want to do a podcast? Do you like the medium? How's it been?
I like talking. I like this.
Yeah.
I like interacting. I like sharing stories. I like the human experience because
I think we need more of it.
Not everybody starts at the same starting block in life, right?
And you strike me as a person that isn't afraid to talk to somebody that sees the world a little bit differently than you.
It's the best.
And if you don't agree with me, I don't feel like you're the type to judge.
I don't feel like it's a personal attack on it. Because I'll tell you this much, and I think this kind of goes beyond sport. I'm not married to any of my ideas, right? It's not set in stone to where this is what I believe. There's rules that I live by in terms of like what I expect out of myself.
But that's called growth.
Correct.
And you being a different person 5 years from now doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. That means that you were just able to grow and evolve from the old way of your thinking. Correct. Totally agree and love that.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I want to get out of it is speaking with other individuals that we have. We're like-minded in some ways, but drastically different in others, and I think there's tremendous value there.
There is.
Yeah. So
is it in person, Zoom? How do you do that?
I mean, if we're in the same market, that's the other thing. It's like I got a buddy who's in Miami. I got a buddy who's in Charlotte.
So you've done Zoom interviews? How do you? How I love in person.
I do too.
Zoom,
no, I'm with you too. It is difficult at times, but
it works.
Again, I want to provide I'll provide the question. I'll get out of the way.
Yeah.
I want to listen to you, and I want the I'd say general public who just sees you as the footballer or sees her as the footballer to get a little insight into the person, right? And okay, let's talk about, so you can talk about soccer, but talk about other things. What else are you interested in? How else do you spend your time? You can't just be football 24/7, 365. You'll make yourself go crazy.
Yeah.
What else makes you tick?
I love that. I feel like that's a dangerous skill to add to your arsenal that you have, because
In the best possible way.
right, because you're like you do the soccer, and now you're a sports agent, but then on top of that you have a podcast which expands the network that you have, but on top of that sharpens your communication skills in a way that not having conversations won't do.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I want to be I want to continue to be confident in personal in public settings, and feel like I can at least, how do I say this? Feel like I can at least provide some sort of value to any sort of conversation.
Yeah.
And you don't get that if you're in the echo chamber of ideas and thoughts of your 30-mile radius of your hometown.
This is amazing. I didn't know that you had a podcast, and then you just got so much going on.
I like to be, again, it's this new, not sounding like a...
expanding your bandwidth. You wanted to try something new.
It's this new age that we're coming into where, you know, you don't need massive production value, or you don't need a massive production. It doesn't have to be lights, cameras, you know, a whole 9 yards. You can just get you and me, and we can sit down, we can have a conversation, and we can have a conversation based off of life experience. And there's tremendous value there.
Yes.
There's tremendous value. So that's what I hope to get, you know, in time, I'd love to have sponsors brought to you by this. Well, I have one sponsor, Clear Audio, which is, I got to give them a shameless plug. Clear Audio, great headphones. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're sponsor of the league of the USL.
Nice.
And when I approached them to do, to explain to them what I'm doing, they were all over. They're like, we're sending you headphones. Just give us a quick promo at the beginning. I was like, absolutely. So yeah, support those that support you.
I'm going to be a supporter. I'm going to tune into it. Like I said, I didn't know, and hopefully the listeners didn't know either, so you can gain a new, community as well.
And I'll be as consistent as I possibly can.
Consistent.
That's the thing.
Don't stop. One time I had to record an episode by myself, and it was probably the worst episode that I did, but I did not want to post.
Right.
So I needed to stay consistent.
Exactly. You know what? I'm going to ask you on camera here. Can we do some cross promo here?
Sure.
So when this episode comes out, we can put it on the Champions Code as well. Yeah. Mix the audience.
That'd be great, dude. And if you have any guests that you want to bring over, because you have a superpower. A podcaster themselves have superpowers, because we can get just damn about anybody on a mic.
Yes.
But then when you mix that with your sports agentness as well, you're just tapped in so differently.
Yes. And trying to provide value. Value add to any situation. If it's getting somebody's story out there that, wow, this is a very interesting individual. And wow, I had no idea, or I didn't even know. Well, of course you wouldn't have known it, because all you know is he or she playing on a match on a Saturday. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Or what you find with a bad picture on Wikipedia.
Bingo,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. So to provide that term, the reality versus the perception of the individual is what my goal is.
But well, I appreciate you for coming on, Cody.
Hey, thank you for having me.
This was a blast, 100% blast. I've learned a lot. And if the listeners, the viewers, if you guys were able to pick up any value, drop a like, hit subscribe. I definitely recommend you to check out his podcast. Champions Code.
Yes.
I'm definitely going to tune into it as well. For anybody that needs a scout.
Yeah. Hit me up. A lot of business gets done via direct message.
Really?
And I would say this, and I don't want to say serious inquiries only, but please don't view me as a miracle worker, right? And I don't say that to be mean or disrespectful, but
let's be realistic.
Let's be realistic here, right? If you're playing Sunday League and you're the undiscovered talent, look, I'm again not shooting you down your dreams, but there's thousands of those stories, right? So, what you'll get out of that, you'll get a response. I'll gladly have a conversation with you, but don't view me as like the all ever knowing. That I want to set the expectation early, right? Because how do I say this? My reputation hangs in the balance here.
Yeah.
Right. And I can't just take flyers on any and all. Right. I have to
burn your bridge if you take any Joe Schmo to try out with the lay two. You know what I'm saying?
Bingo. And they're there for one day, and it's getting
Cody,
tough.
Is this what you're bringing to us for real? Is this what you bring?
Exactly. So I And that's not to be mean, but that's to be professional.
That's the reality.
That's the reality of
the
the profession. That's why 0.01 whatever percentage play is because it's a cutthroat industry, and it's not something. It's not a hobby, right? It's a way of living life. And if you're not willing to sacrifice it all, and I don't say that to be dramatic, if you're not willing to sacrifice everything, then you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
So.
Period. You imagine how hard it is for the people that get to make it to the Real Madrids and still bust like a Hazard.
Well, okay. That terminology though, that's like, oh, he's crap. Well,
No,
is he crap?
No, he's not crap because he at the one time was one of the best.
No, but not just that, but like when you're watching a game, oh, this guy's crap.
No.
Oh, he's doing it against the best players in the world. Okay, maybe Messi is skinning him alive, but he's on the same field as Messi. There's a reason why he's there. So
I guess this goes down to that perception that we as non-professionals have with those professionals.
Oh, he's awful.
Because they could be going through so much, and we have no idea what Hazard's going through. You know, he's gone through all these injuries. You don't think he wants to perform at the best of his ability,
exactly.
at the best club in the world? Like,
yeah.
But those guys, you want to talk about being in a tough situation? Try going to play in a club that demands the absolute perfection, where maybe you might not be able to get away with making mistakes there.
Exactly.
So that's just a whole different threshold.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Egos and mentalities and environments. How far of a scout do you want to see yourself?
Oh, I'm taking this as far as I possibly can.
As far as you can?
Yeah, I think from a timing standpoint, the U.S. market is primed to really take off.
Boom, right? I mean, think of it now. Like the World Cup is coming in 4 years.
Correct.
That's going to elevate things so much further.
Correct. And I know, and I'm with the people that say, oh, well, there's no promotion relegation. I'm with you. I wish that was the case. And that's what I dislike the most about American sport is you're incentivized to fail. And that's crap. This concept of let's tank for a higher draft pick.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Get the hell out of here. What is that? That's not the American way.
Some NFL, NBA stuff.
That's not that's not who we are as Americans. So why do we let that happen in our sport? And that's why we're world football. They have this, hey, it's a meritocracy, bro. Right? Either you bring it, don't sing it, as they say, right? It's either you're staying up at the end of the season or everybody's jumping off the ship because it's sinking.
I have faith that it'll eventually turn into that.
I hope so.
But there's just a lot of growing pains that need to get passed through to be able to get there.
Right.
The MLS is still expanding.
Correct.
It's a huge map to travel to. So maybe we need more on the East, more on the West to be able to have relegation, whether it's the whole league in general or one from the East, one from the West. There's still a lot of things
I think they'll do sub-conferences eventually. I think the conversation will be around like they do in the NFL. The other thing is this, is they're very, from a league standpoint, they're fiscally conservative, right? Whereas you take Barcelona for instance. What are they facing right now? They can't sign players because
they're basically needing to sign them for free. They have to pay Barcelona to play right now.
Barca had to let go of the generational talent, Lionel Messi, because they couldn't pay him.
Maybe this is probably the fruits of the labors of having these generational players that they could not let go in their prime.
Right.
Because it would have been suicide letting go of an Iniesta, a Xavi, a Messi, a Busquets, when they should have, when somebody would have paid $100 to $2 million. But it's because
hindsight is 20/20. But I say all that, I make that reference because economically, I think you're going to see a lot more interest from foreign entities in wanting to buy into the MLS, wanting to have some sort of stake. Maybe you diversify the ownership groups where they do like an LAFC where you have like 20 different owners, right? So not one person.
I mean, we already are seeing it though. There's players coming and buying teams here. I think Wayne Rooney just bought a team somewhere here in the MLS or somewhere.
Oh, well, I think he's coming to coach, but I know he owns a team somewhere. The other thing is this, is that it's going it's going the opposite way with, I believe, half of the Premier League teams are owned by Americans now. Yeah. Right. So
LeBron James.
LeBron is a part owner of Liverpool. You got Todd Bowley, who just he owns the LA Dodgers. Now he owns Chelsea. So all that to say, soccer is on this rise. We're early. We're definitely early, but
2022. We're early.
Yeah, right.
Soccer's been going on forever.
I know, exactly. Yeah, but and especially with the World Cup coming in 2026, man.
It's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be crazy.
I cannot wait.
All for the best, man. So I'm excited for the future, and trying to make incremental progress as we get along. Where 2026 comes along, and I can be the go-to North American agent.
That'd be crazy, dude. Let's speak it to existence.
From your lips to God's ears, as they say.
What about the goal for Champions Code?
just to be consistent.
You know what I love about Champions Code is that you're taking your scouting so serious. I feel like Champions Code might be like a side passion project that could go way further than maybe scouting on accident.
Right.
You know.
Right. No, that's good. Yeah. I want to. Yeah. I'd like to, because I don't want to. I like to create as well. I don't want to just be the guy who earns a percentage off of somebody else's work, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You want to be able to have something that you can put effort in and get something back.
I also like to be
I
also like to create and not just be the guy in the background. I like to facilitate deals. I like to be the bridge. I like to be the connector of like-minded individuals. I love that aspect of my personality, but I also like being the creative side of it, of being able to tell my story, or being able to, have interesting people on, or be able to utilize my network of, individuals who have achieved something in life. That's what I love. And that's kind of what I want to take it, and to branch out, not just soccer players, other people that have taken an entrepreneurial risk on themselves, right? And failed upwards, and, stayed consistent, stayed focused, didn't let any sort of, life issue get in the way of their goals, of their dreams, and people that bet on themselves.
You should have your parents on.
I should.
I would love to hear that. Shout out to your parents too. I wanted to say that they sounded like they were very pivotal for you, and I think without them, like, who knows?
Support system. The support system is massive, and my parents I wasn't a great student growing up. I stayed eligible for sport. But it got to a point where I was in Belgium, and I was like, Mom, Dad, I'm here to chase a dream of playing professionally. Like, school was, I don't want to say this, but school was getting in the way. And they had the maturity, or the
I feel like they were allowing you to make your mistakes.
Yeah. And they were like, all right, school, I get it. They're like,
you can go back.
Yeah. School will always be there. This is a front-loaded career path. You're not going to be 40, 50 years of age playing. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen for you now. So I'm grateful for their perspective on things. And yeah, that's the support system is freaking massive, man.
Agreed.
Massive.
Agreed. Now you're putting yourself in a position to be others' support system. So that's huge.
Being of service. Being of service, that's the mentality that I will continue to keep. Being a trusted extension of the professional experience.
Well, let's leave it there on that note. Let's leave it on a good note. I feel like we could go for a very long time.
100%.
But Cody,
yes,
I appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Any last words?
If you guys want to get a hold of me, social media, Laurendi23 on Twitter, and then Cody Laurendi on social media, on Instagram. I have Cody Laurendi FTSA, which is First Team Soccer Agency, which is the agency that I'm running.
FTSA. Okay.
And then Champions Code. That's the other Instagram.
Send me the links.
I will. I'll link all that. And please, I will do my best. If you do reach out and you want guidance, or you just have a question, I will do my best to respond, and respond in the most professional way I possibly can.
Don't come at him with some ridiculous questions, though. Come on. Be realistic, guys, please. This guy has a life.
Right. Please. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, if you're listening to this, I appreciate you guys for listening to it. Again, if we provided you with some value, drop a like, hit subscribe, recommend us to somebody. But this has been the Mas Futbol podcast. Thank you guys for coming, and Cody Laurendi.
Ricardo, thank you.
Nice. Peace.